Hello, welcome to Gloomspite Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. All right, now let's get the show started. It's Monday night. Nathan Prescott's fucking late again, as per. There he is. He should be there. I meant to press this button, so there's two of us. You guys can't see that. He's not there, is he? Apparently he's late. No idea why, but he's on the way, and I love him, so I don't really give a shit if he's late. So that's fine. As long as he's safe and healthy, that's fine. I'm not late. We're live. It's Monday. It's time to talk Age of Sigmar, and I'm very excited to talk to all of you guys. So, Bucket Ninja, Pixel, the Big Goldfish, what's happening, Big Goldfish, and it's been a while. Bling Marine, Diadrin. James is not here this week. James is home in Birmingham. It would be unnecessary travel for him to get here. Fantastic guy. Hey, just here for a minute or two. Then got to teach some more. Big love. Good luck over in Canada. Big love to you. Propagation, what up, yo? Big Goldfish hitting the gym. Nice. Good. Make sure you wipe everything down and wash your hands, Big Goldfish. K-Dread, how you doing? Bling Marine, have you cast invisibility on Nathan? Yeah, maybe. You can still hear him probably, no matter what the situation. Oh, it's Pixie. That makes so much more sense. I'm so sorry I got your Twitch name wrong. Thanks, Pixie. Burun Guy, how's it going? Grot Gang. That's my question to you guys. What's up, Grot Gang? It's getting, oh my god, DJ Hardwick, thanks for subscribing. What up? And also Diadrin, thanks for donating 2 gift subscriptions in the chat. One of them going to Dudo Shuttlegate. Oh my god. All right, so Nate's going to be here in a minute. We've got some cool stuff to talk about today. Obviously, there's no Battle Tome. Had a week off there. Evening, Mr. Teej. T. Glasson, thanks for subscribing for 4 months. What up? Big love to you. And also, Diadrin, thanks very much for donating some subscriptions. That's nice. We are going to talk Age of Sigmar today. We're going to try and avoid talking about the epidemic, Speckles. But if you do want to give some love in the chat, if you could give some to Mr. Simon Speckles in the chat, who works in a hospital, and anyone working in a hospital or working in deliveries or in supermarkets or just generally. In fact, give yourselves all a round of applause. You're doing great. I'm a terrible person at this. But so we're going to talk Age of Sigmar today. I'm going to quickly announce, I'm going to announce this again later. Elka Reb, thanks for donating 400 bits. That I'm going to be doing a daily show. I know I was doing them before, but some stuff which is now all been cancelled, so it doesn't matter, which we had to announce. So I'm going to now be in a daily show Monday to Saturday. I think maybe even Monday to Sunday. All week. I'm going to be doing it midday UK time. We're all going to be pinned in the house. So that's it. I'm going to do, fuck knows, like what I'm going to do, everything. We're going to do list tech. I'm going to take your questions. I might do some hobby. But no matter what, midday, I'm going to turn up at the desk and we're going to talk about Warhammer. And it's going to hopefully get us all through what is going to be a tough time, but we'll get through it together, right? You, me, and everyone, right? So before Nathan gets here, Doddy G Roller, I saw that Warhammer will cancel events. In fact, I expect there won't be a Warhammer event anywhere in the world. Big love, Chris Caves Jr. I expect there won't be a Warhammer event anywhere in the world until at least September. So make of that what you will. Good luck, Speckles. Love you tons. Pixie, are you still going to do the Seraphon list? Oh my God, did I say I was going to do something last week? It's been a busy week. Drizzle says lots of TTS Sigmar this month. That's right. Loads. I might even start streaming some, which would be cool. But I think it's against the law because it's not allowed. Previously all the stuff got taken down. But Games Workshop would be smart to let everyone play on TTS. Jay Tamales, thanks for subscribing for Twitch Prime. Thank you to everyone who subscribes on Twitch. And if you are on the Honest Wargamer Patreon, thank you to you guys. I'm obviously going to do this again later. So before Nathan gets here, tell me how you all are. That's what I want to know. What's going on? Hobby Corner, I can see you on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. What's up? I have been building some Seraphon. Do you want to see something old school, ladies and gentlemen? This is a battalion box. Look at this with its proto. What is this here? Look at that. They had the terrain piece for Age of Sigmar before we even knew it years ago. I don't know when this came out, but it's also got the worst models of all time. That's right, dinosaur. Why they thought this would sell it to anyone? What is this? Why did anyone think that this was okay? I'm against this. I don't like it. Fine. This guy's fine. He's fine. Great. Ugly. Yeah, if you guys can't see. Chris Cave Jr., I might have to start painting. You should start painting. you dick. I'm seeking out of work, says Diadrin. I think I'm the last in the office. Get home, wash your hands, and have a sleep. Par UK, what's happening? First day of isolation. I'm well into my first Dreadsorians. Good work, Scrunny Hugh. Yeah, we're all gonna. Oh yeah, check out that link in the chat. So we're all gonna hang out now. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna clear our hobby piles. I was gonna do this later, but I was wondering what you guys can suggest that we're gonna do over the next 15 weeks. Not on the show. On the show, we're going to talk Warhammer all day long. But individually, I'm just going to smash my armies out. That's all I'm going to do. Hammer them. I've got plenty, and I'm just going to barrel through them. And I'm also going to do live streams almost every day. And Mr. Nixon on YouTube called the show live for once. Thanks very much. We are taking most of the questions over on Twitch if you want to join us, but if YouTube's fine, it's fine. Right, I'm off to the gym. See you later, Big Goldfish. Speckles is going to go to work. Just anyone. Just to remind you, this is Bob Monkey Cheese, and I will always kick your ass when you say that Saurus Knights are the worst. Bob Monkey Cheese, they are the worst, and you're just going to have to deal with that, Bob Monkey Cheese. Definitely not Yoda says, Rob, what do you think the Dreadsorian now? Can I get 37 wounds, fly, and -1 damage? Definitely not Yoda. I think it's fantastic. So to let you know what we're talking about on the show today, hey, Pete Pratt, on the show today, we are going to talk about, at the end, we're going to talk about the virus, isolation, and what we can all do to help each other. That'll be at the end. I'd like to do that at the end. When Nathan gets here, me and Nathan are going to talk about some events that happened at the weekend, which would be cool. But then the main subject of the show today is Nathan's talking about one-drop Git lists. That's his point today. I'm talking about impact hits. Yeah. I've got like a fun... everything. El Capitan WS10 in the chat is there. I just want to say a big sorry about Tuesday, but we hopefully going to see each other again, but probably not anytime soon. But we can but I'm hoping to postpone that. Jimmy 1080, what's up in the chat? Datcom, thanks for subscribing for your 2-year anniversary. All right, let's go. Isolation means I finally get an excuse to skip the gym and join AOS Mondays live instead of watching replays. Yeah, you do, Virulent28. Do you always go to the gym on Mondays? Is that your thing? T. Strathi says maybe I'll finish my Zangor. First thing we should all do, I think. So those are the two subjects today. We're going to talk about impact hits because I think that's interesting. Nathan's going to talk about one-drop Gitz list. So if any of those are interesting to you, let me know. And the other thing I think is good right now, as a group, all of us together, let's admit what armies, has anyone got a completely, first question, has anyone got a completely unbuilt army in their cupboards? You bought a whole army and it's just in the cupboards. That's what I want to know. I'm pretty sure my KO army says Dexamon. Nice. One-drop Truglis, El Capitan WS10. We're going to talk about that. Message me. You've got Skype, right? Kids with SIDS, several. El Capitan WS10. I've got 5,000 points of Stormcast unbuilt. All right, good. Mr. Tej, I have an FEC army. Okay, that'll take you 45 minutes to build. Barunji, bought a box of Nighthorn, but figured I should finish painting some of the things first. Very mature of you. Nighthorn and Dark Angels for 40k, says El Kareb. Wow. Okay, that's 2 whole armies. Tomb King Tristan, 500 points of Gitz. Oh man, you should definitely get another 500 points to play some little 1kers. That'd be fun. Also, Tomb King Tristan's got a podcast which he's going to link in the chat right now. It's an Age of Sigmar podcast, and you should all give it a listen. He's going to link it in the chat in a moment. Decella, I have a Tau army and a skeleton army. Okay, you don't build the Tau army because no one will be your friend, but definitely build the skeleton army. That's fine. Uh-oh, I've scrolled too fast. You guys are doing shit. Mum dear, thanks for subscribing. What's going on? War Studio says, I've got the limited edition of Sister Battle I've not touched yet. I mean, taken out of context, I've got a box of Sisters of Battle I've not touched yet, but my dad has too many unfinished armies, says Chris Gaves Jr. Yeah, but your dad's a legend. Chris Gaves Sr. is arguably my top 10 Warhammer people of all time. And actually might be one of my favourite games of Warhammer I played last year against your dad. He's just a ledge. Big fan. You're fine. Do you know why I don't like Chris Caves Jr.? It's because at some point I'm going to lose to him. Yeah, and he's a really nice fucking lad, and it's going to piss me the fuck off when I lose to him. So I'm going to just man up now. I like you, Chris. That's what I'm going to say. Please don't beat me, but you're going to, so it'll be fine. I have a Seraphon army unbuilt in my closet, but to be fair, they arrived on Friday. Why is it in your closet, Dexamon? That's the real question. Trog, you've got 3,000 points of war clans as well. How much stuff have you got hidden away? That's the real question. Squinty Hugh, I think I might have 2 or 3 unbuilt armies. Yeah. 2,000 points of Skaven and Archeon still on Sprue, says Tesrathi. That's a tough time. Evening all Wargaming Dad, what's going on? Toon King Tristan, thanks for subscribing for 16 months. 2K of Skaven, just working out colour schemes, says Bling Marine. Oh, nice. I don't think has anyone seen any white Skaven, like white cloth Skaven? I think that would look pretty cool, or maybe white fur, but that's only because of a book series called Redwall Abbey. If anyone's ever seen Redwall or Red Wall, it's pretty cool. Redwall is. I weirdly went to while I was in Australia, I went to a zoo. I went with Danny Plays, fantastic. Nick Cohen, Joe Pagano, Smorgan. We all went, and Randy, and we'd all individually seen and read all of the Redwall series, which I thought was incredibly sweet and weird. We're all from different parts of the world. Decarella says I've got 3K of Khemri. I think you probably leave them in there. 2K of Tau. There we go. Yeah, so there's the link in the chat. Heavily procrastinating, staring at my Gitz. Come on, T-Glasson. Get those Gitz painted up. That's what I want to see. 8K of Chaos Demon. Yes, Redwall. Yes, DJ Mikey. I've got the same Sisters of Battle box. I think I haven't even taken the wrapper off. Hey, Colonel Cabbage. Liam Jordan, this is the only social interaction I'm allowed. This is better keep me entertained. That will not keep you entertained. So tomorrow, midday, me and Wargamer Donal will be doing a show. I'll be doing a show every day, midday. So join us tomorrow, midday. I'm just waiting for Nathan at the minute, and then we'll start the Monday show. But so you guys are literally just hanging out with me. I didn't want to start half an hour late, so I just literally started the show and just thought I'd chat to you guys. We're waiting for Nathan right now. My Plague Monks are white, says Kids with Sits. Nice, I'd like to see those. Liam Jordan, I want to call my cat Mahout got shut down. I'm good for 2 weeks, enough models to pay it the last time. Yes, I think we are the best community ever for being trapped in a house, right? Surely. I have Sinesh have lost my mojo a bit, says Colonel Cabbage. Going to work out Sister Battle instead. Take the charge on all the podcast things. Well done, Toon King Tristan. I'll listen to the podcast later. Good. Paddy's Day Jet. Oh, nice. Diadrian, didn't know you could do that. Okay, well. Oh, flip. I've lost the chat, gents. I'm so sorry. Ladies. There might also be ladies in the house. I'm going to paint up my Flamers as each, if that's okay with you lot. That's what I'm going to be doing this week, but I think everyone's going to hate it. K-Dread's got 120 more orders and 20 more order Cav War Shrine plus to paint. That's too much. That's... Oh, God. Oh, I'm definitely... Has anyone got any questions before we go any further? I want to do all the Corona chat at the end, so not bum us out. I want to hang out with you guys. 3D printing a dragon, Liam Jordan. Oh, yeah. Put a picture up on Twitter and share the link. I want to see. That's fun. The Plague Monks are ugly, but they are meant to be, and I'm painting 160 major shortcuts needed. Plague Monks are gross. They're pretty cool models, I think, with blades, with the fetid blades. You know what? I was Orc Boys I was painting up the other day, and I loved them. I thought they were rad as hell. I just started playing AdMech, says Grubder, and I thought I'd give 40k a try. 40k is very cool. The models particularly are fab. So I've been very much enjoying getting into those. I also have been building Saurus, told you about that, and I've been painting Flamers. That's my life. I want to tell you about everything else, but I've got to wait till Nathan gets here. So I'm just going to take questions from you guys. Let me know what your questions are. Tomb King Tristan says, contrast metallic is dope as FU. I'm not going to use any of that. Is it meant to be good? I've not used it. Nor do I know how to use it, is the truth. I'm going to slow myself down. I always get too excited at the start of the stream, and I get like all hype, and now I'm going to work into it and slowly ASMR you boys is what I'm going to be doing. I've just seen that Warhammer World has cancelled all of its events, which I am very proud of them for. I think that's very, very good. Rograx, what is going on? 28 months. Let me know when you are offline, because we should do some day shows together, Mr. Tom Layton, and I'd be well up for that, with him still on the Skinks and a Skink Priest. What's the question? Says Pixie. Do you think the new Seraphon collecting box is a good starting point? Let's go find out what it is. Does anyone know what's in it? For an army. I don't think so, Seraphon. Start collecting. Let's have a look. That wasn't what I was prepped to talk about today. The skink one. Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Yes, it's super fantastic. Bastillodon, excellent. The most you would ever want is 4. Pterodons, excellent. All Ripidactyls, it's the same kits, you'll be able to buy them. Skinks, excellent. You definitely want, like, you could buy that box 4 times, and you wouldn't have wasted it. You would be building a list based around Bastillodon shooting, but it's a very, very good box. Like, if it helps you out, I'm going to build a list with 4 shooty Bastillodons in, so it's going to be rad. Oh, talking of Donaldinho, who I'll be talking to yesterday, big love. We're going to be doing a show tomorrow midday, so join us. It's going to be really fun as we start locking ourselves in. It's a great box. Very, very good box. Everything in that box is really good. Tomb King Tristan, how can I convert my Seraphon to be cooler? Says Tomb King Tristan. Necron bits. Seraphon to be cooler. Yeah, because so they have got a couple of Necron looking bits on them, specifically Krokgar, that was his name, but a dude, a named character that used to be on a Carnosaur, he has an arm, a fist. I'm going to call it a fist, a star fist, and that looks very Necron, and there's some very Necron-y elements. So you could do that and add some Necron bits. What else could you add? I think I would say that the Seraphon aren't very spiky. You know, for lizards, I think that they could be spikier. If there's something you could find out there that's... I wouldn't do... I think you could add more spikes, is what I'm trying to say. That's like for lizards, they're not very... They're scaly, but they're not anything else. Is that rubbish? I think that's rubbish. Right. Hi, Donaldinho. Wargaming Dad. Best hobby start collecting set. Best Metastorm collecting set. Best overall. Oh, God. The best start collecting box that you can probably buy if you wanted to play Warhammer with is either the Stonehorn one, if that's still available, with the that would be the one, or the Flesh Eater Quartz one, and the best hobbying one would be probably the Gitz one, because like Gitz are just the fucking best, man. Like, no matter what you say, like doing some squigs, it's gonna be the best. Oh, something's going on. Liam, you just put a link in the chat and I need to find it. That's what I'm going to do right now. I want to go look at your... Liam. Let's go find out what this looks like. Oh, wow. Genuinely 3D printing a dragon. That's awesome, man. How long is it going to take to paint do the whole dragon? That's my question. Tufflicky says, are you guys low on toilet paper in the UK as well? No, I've just always used my hand. So, no issues here. Big Read after Scaven like to do Seraphon using colour shift paints. Definitely going to do Starborn concept. That's good. How can you make Saurus more dynamic? I think if you were to put a blob of green stuff in the... So the Saurus models are... Oh, actually, if you wait one sec. As I've just been building fucking loads of them. Oh, thanks for subscribing, someone. Who is that? Kids for Sid. Nice. So, Saurus, as you can see on the screen, they cut off at the shoulder. Yeah. And then, so you could just put a blob of green stuff. I mean, this is like a Vince question. This isn't a Rob question. Like, should I put Saurus on my list? Rob question. How do I do any hobby at all? Not Rob question. But I'd put some green stuff in the shoulder, then stick the shoulder joint on, and then that way you can have the arms be a bit more dynamic. And then also, the other thing is to make some uneven flooring or basing. I use milliput, so it's all a bit. So they end up going. Some of them end up going like a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit sideways. So you can get a little bit like dynamic posing by just changing, instead of having them all flat, which they'll all sit flat. Have it so that they're all at different angles on your bases as well. So if you do that with the arms, I mean, even if you just did that with the bases, that would already change up how dynamic the Saurus Warriors would be, I reckon. Oh, CR300, thanks for subscribing. What the heck? So working from home today, says TJ Mikey, video conference a colleague, spot a 3D print in the background and asking what he's printing. 40k scenery. Meeting got a little deal. Yeah. Maybe our community will just grow, or we'll all connect with each other a little bit more, which will be rad. Someone has just sent me a message. Oh, wow. Someone has just asked me a question about an army list. Okay. And I am going to sort that out in a moment. That's fun. About 40 hours of printing. Wings take 12 hours each. Wow. Rest is compressed into different parts on the same print. Non-hero monsters need some love. Perhaps non-hero monster rating session could be fun. Okay, that could be fun. Let's do that. We'll stick that in the list, Colonel. Pink metallic armor, anyone? I've never done pink metallic armor. Have you done some, Tristan? Is that in the chat? Let's go find out. Is that what that thing is? Ooh, that's nice. Pink armor. Nice. Guaranteed to trigger your local man with a problem. Did you panic buy any hobby supplies, says Stuart Hastings? Great question. I did not. I have a bunch of paints anyway, and I have... Nope. I don't really go beyond, like, one colour and then the next colour. So I'm not the kind of guy who needs 3 types of green. I just have the green, and then I move on to the next colour. So I'm not there yet. Scrunty Hugh, I love your sculpted tips. Thanks, man. Hugh, you should come on the show. Even if it's via Skype, and give us some sculpted tips, man. That'd be fun. Scrunty Hugh, can you source from the Blood Bowl kit unit champs too? Okay. CR300, thanks very much. Thanks for just everything. I hope you look at the message properly. It takes me up. It took me ages to save up 1,000 knees. All right, I'll look at the Datcom. Datcom's asked me a question. Twitch, Hivemind, and me. Let's do this together. He wants help with a list. Here we go. We're going to do some list tech as a group while we wait for Nathan. So he's asked for a Dorsey-Kane Calibron list. Calibron is the teleporting temple, I'm pretty certain. He's got... Oh, Nathan's here. Too late. I'll be back. I'll be back in a moment. Where are the keys? Talk amongst yourselves. sanitizer and bog rolls as
Yeah.
far as the eye can see. Okay. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. As if you were...
As if we were never gone.
As if we were never gone. Nathan Prescott in the house when they were talking to the mic.
Hello.
Right. Happy? You happy?
Yeah, don't want to get
Oh,
too
hold on.
close
I need to make it so people can see you. There you go. Now people can see you. Oh, give me one. Right. Oh, we've touched each other now. Let's quarantine together. That's been my dream anyway. I was like, what I'll do is I'll just get you and me quarantined together. Perfect life. Okay.
Touch my face.
Right. Sort your camera out. There you go. Okay. You're good. Just get the microphone somewhere in front of you. Someone cussed us out last week because of the microphones, but also was like, Nathan's hilarious. And I was like, I've told you. For years.
Cussed us out that the microphones are
Yeah, but they were
hilarious.
also like, Nathan's really funny. And I was like, I've been telling you guys for years because everyone else has been saying you're not. And I was like, fuck you guys. Just give him a chance. And like 2.5 years later, you fucking pulled it out last week and we smashed it.
Did a funny one. I told a funny one.
Right, I'm going to start recording. Hello, welcome to This War Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. It's Monday. It's about 7:45. And... but join us every Monday live at 7 p.m. where we'll talk about Age of Sigmar. I'm joined by Mr. Nathan Prescott.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, shave, you look great.
Had a little bit of a run
Oh, you've been running. Where you been running?
from the car park.
And if you are someone who subscribes to us on Twitch, thank you, and join us live like everyone already has. Mr. Tej, K-Dread, Diadrin, Perkysaurus, Dave Frazier.
Oh, yeah.
Love Dave Frazier. Rograx, and Birun Guy, who says, Nathan, more plaster-based humour, please.
Okay.
Did we make any plaster jokes?
Oh, I did. Last week I was plastering. No, this week I've been fitting radiators and stuff.
Okay, nice. Getting that. Is it because people are cold?
No, it's just what they pay me to do sometimes.
Okay. Good.
I think they're warm enough.
Hey Malekith. Nathan apparently Dexter says you're looking pretty dapper today. I'll agree with that. Mr. T says good evening. Everyone just wants to say good evening to you, so I'm going to let that happen. Pixar says Nathan is funny and Rob is a sexy piece of man meat. Oh god, this is gone. Hello. The perfect feast for the eyes. Thanks, Perkysaurus. Bling Marine also says hello, but you can read it all now. I've set it up for you. There's a TV there.
Oh, yeah, there.
Yeah?
It says new messages.
Yeah? Oh, hold on. I'll change that up for you. There you go. Now everyone can say hello to you and you can talk back to them. How's that feel? Did he do something with his hair? He looks so great.
I shaved it off.
That's like the clever Twitch chat version of calling you a dick straight to your face.
Oh, cool.
I can't tell if Nathan's wearing a beautiful patterned shirt or he's just covered in plaster.
Plaster. And lubricants of various types.
Fantastic. If you are listening to the podcast, make sure you stay hydrated and now wash your hands. I've got to stick that in now.
And your face.
And your face.
And
but
the rest of your body.
Did you know that we're now approved? The show is approved by a doctor. The Honest Wargamer, doctor approved.
Nice. Doctor of what?
Well, doctor of infectious diseases, in fact. If you want to go back and listen to 2 podcasts ago, or maybe 1 podcast ago, we had Alex on, who is an infectious disease doctor down in London, and he gave us some advice on what best to do. Apparently buying toilet roll, not the best thing to do right now, but washing your hands, a great thing to do. So,
unless you need a toilet roll, then buy one.
Well, you could, no, because you could
shit
in your hand and wash your hands. And now you got no problems.
Fair enough. Buy yourself a bidet.
Yeah. Are you going to install one at home? Or
No.
I imagine it'll be a Nathan Prescott bidet, which will just be a water hose firing out the side of a building.
Clean the shit right out of you.
Dave Frazier says hi.
Hello, Dave.
Rob, we're not allowed to talk about that. This is an AOS show, not a coronavirus show, apparently. Yeah. Someone had a meltdown at me and sent me a message. And all I can say to you is, you're a dick. Right. Okay, so we've had Datcom has sent us an army list. We're going to do that first.
Cool.
And we'll do a bit of review of that. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Just because he
sounds
asked.
great.
Because he spent 1,000. So if you watch the show live on Twitch, you generate knees, little bits, basically. And
knee bits.
Knee bits, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could use that. And he spent 1,000 for us to review his list. So, can we please get on this Wargamer COVID-19 special of Nathan just walking through B-Day installation? Nathan?
Walking through a V-Day installation. Yeah, sure, no worries. I don't think I've ever installed one of them.
Can't be hard, can it?
No.
It's just a tap.
It's just a wash basin.
Just
for
with
your
fancier
arse.
bits.
Oh.
Yeah. Could you just use a sink but lower?
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Don't even need a sink, do you, really?
No, you could just
use a hose.
Hose for
Just
to the back
a
of the
hose, a
toilet.
sprinkler, go outside, have yourself a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do it outside, I guess, or you could just put it inside the toilet.
What, like the kids upstairs who broke the fucking
Yeah.
bathroom?
Just one of those special jet hoses in the toilet. When you push the flush, it'll trigger the thing, and
We'll just do it. Yeah, okay, all right. Let's do that. I will honestly record that. Night No Problems. Okay, yeah, I recently had a B-Day removed from my house, says Banana Timmy. Whoops. Did you do that?
no, you had a plan.
Hey, Joel McGrath, what's up? Good day, good day. Pokesaurus, Andre the Giant was so large he had to use the bathtub. What, for a B-Day?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay, all right, let's review this list. And then I want to find out how you are. We'll do this first, and then I'll ask you how you are.
Yeah.
He's got a Calibron Daughters of Cain list already.
Good.
Different.
Good start.
Blood Rat Medusa, who's the general. A Hag Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Slaughter of Queen on Cauldron of Blood, 330 points. And a Knight Incanter, which is an ally. He's just said, so the allies Stormcast on the list are converted with snake bodies. So they're Hag and Slaughter Queen. So it's like a theme or something, says Dancom. Welcome to all of my conversions. When when you show someone really proud and they go, what's that? And you go, it's like a theme or something. Well, that's what I say. Anyway. Whatever. I'm normally all right at picking prayers and spells, but I never had any clue when it comes to artifacts, so there aren't so many. So 20 Blood Sisters, 4 units of 2 more units of Blood Sisters, another unit of Bloodstalkers, 5 of them only, another unit of 5 Bloodstalkers, and then 3 Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows in the Temple Nest, which someone will have to remind me what the fuck Temple Nest does. Whatever. So a big brick of 500 points of Blood Sisters, 2 more fighty ones, and then 2 shooty ones, because the shooty ones are the Bloodstalkers at 120.
Yeah.
Good. I think it's good. The issue is you don't have a screen. Apart from you'll use your little snakes to screen the big 20 snakes. There's loads of stuff that currently can alpha, so it can just run across the board super fast. My example of that would be an easy one is a Maw Crusher with 1 command point and all the fucking red horniness that you can possibly imagine. He's just like, I've moved 12 inches. I've moved 12 more inches. I'm about to fucking charge, dickheads. So that's good. But if you don't have something at the front, which is why the Daughters of Cain is so good, because it just has that 5-up save, and then it becomes a 5-up rerollable save. It's a bit.
It can do, yeah, if you got the right prayer. The Blessing of Cain.
Yes. So I would say the one thing that you're lacking here, for me, is the ability to screen out or pre-game move from some of the stuff that's out there at the minute, because there's some scary stuff.
Yeah, if you got the Vanguard Raptors, might be worth shoving in a couple of Aether Wings, because they're quite good for charge blocking now.
For doing that same thing. Well, he's got 2 allies in, so if it was 1 per 4, he hasn't got any more room to put another one in. But I'll read that later. And give you some more details on it, because I have to read up on some of the snakes. Yeah. Be good. All right, Nath, how are you? I promised that comment. I promise I'm going to come back to that. Nath, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
What are you looking at, B-Days?
No, I was going to try and look up the Daughters of Cain stuff, but like you say, it's probably best if we...
Yeah, we'll approach that with some seriousness. Yeah, later. How are you?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like been a week? What have you been up to?
Better this and a better that.
Fucking hell.
You know what I was up to on the weekend.
I mean, you can tell the audience, but not. So you've had a nice weekend, is
I've
what
had
you've
a
done.
great weekend.
Okay, Nathan's been doing
some
some not safe for work items.
Yeah.
And also work.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, on Saturday I went to watch the burlesque show. That was
Yeah,
nice.
that's fine. Adults do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then just went and did some other recreational activities on the Sunday.
Good. I went not panic buying, but I went.
I also went not panic buying.
Oh, well, congratulations!
If that's a thing.
What did you not panic buy?
I didn't panic buy any ammunition for any weapons that I don't own.
That you don't own. That's really
Well, I'm
ambiguous.
not panic buying, and I'm not buying.
So now I don't
weapons
know if you don't own weapons, or if you do own weapons, but you didn't buy ammo for ones you didn't buy.
Exactly.
Fuck. Okay.
What else didn't I panic buy? I didn't panic buy any helicopters.
No
I
helicopters.
didn't buy any helicopters.
Fucking-
Panic in a panic
In
manner.
a panic. You didn't buy any hobby stuff.
Bought some white paint.
Oh, well, I actually bought some paint. I went over to Nuneaton. Not
Yep.
Nuneaton.
You went to non-Nuneaton.
Yeah, but it wasn't called that. It was like called Pinklebidge or whatever like. So if you're not from the UK, everywhere outside of a city is called some ridiculous Hobbit-style name. I was like going around all sorts of like, I don't know, Colchester. Is that a place? I don't know where I was. Some fucking place. Anyway.
But it's not where you were, but it is a place.
But I wanted to pick up some Vallejo paints. So we drove over to, so I was with the missus, and we drove over to somewhere, Ashby de la Zeus, which is near Leicester. And then there was like, I just typed into maps, and there was this place called Black Dragon Miniatures, and I was like, number one, I definitely want to fucking go there. Yeah, because it sounds amazing. And she was not very convinced. But then it turns out when we got there, there was a paranormal research centre, which she went in for 45 minutes. And I went into the hobby store. I couldn't obviously criticize her decision. I was like, great decision. She met a guy called Mark, and also met...
Was he alive?
Well, he was alive, but he had a mirror which had a crack in it, which apparently was a portal to another dimension, which bad energies came out of.
So when's he getting rid of that? It sounds awful
And
to have it hanging about.
I think they're researching it, but I'm not really sure how they're researching it. I went just to Black Dragon Miniatures, and then fucking Max was there. You know, 4K Max. Yeah, Max was there playing. Eric Hoger was there, which is cool. So all those guys, it's like, and they were having a little mini tournament, little like maybe like 12, 14 man tournament. I was like, this is fucking cool. So it's a nice little like mini thing, and like it's just a nice hobby shop. It was nice. I don't really get much opportunity to go to like a lot of like local gaming stores because I don't drive. So it was cool. Yeah,
sounds cool.
And I picked up some Vallejo paints and some sprays. So that's not really anything that exciting to talk about, but I just thought I'd tell you. It's all the hobby I've done this week.
Okay.
And other than that, I've been paying attention to the news and working away. So, and then all the events are cancelled. So just trying to deal with that now. Because, but I said we talk about all that stuff at the end.
Okay.
And we just talk fucking cool Warhammer stuff. So if you want to just listen to this show and have a nice time, great. And if you want to talk about like the stuff we're doing, I'll be doing a daily show tomorrow, every Monday, every day at 12 p.m. So midday UK time on the Honest Wargamer Twitch. I'll be hanging out because there's a whole bunch of people who'll be locked in at home, or they'll be, you know, just like isolating themselves. Yeah, they've lost their keys. How could 4 million people lose their keys at the same time? What the fuck is going on? Captain Krabs, thanks for subscribing. It could just be a mirror from Chernobyl, says Bob Monkey Cheese. What up? Pokesaurus says, I didn't panic buy 7 Stegodons. I already own them, so that was fine. I panic bought Spirit Hosts. Nice. So it's an Umbral Spell Portal. Damn it, I should have made that joke. That would have been so funny. Okay, anyway, so I've done no gaming this week, which has been a bit of a shame. But and I don't imagine, unless you and me do some gaming, I don't imagine we'll do any. So I suppose one of the things we should probably talk about is, like, before we get to the stuff at the end, is probably there'll be no Warhammer events now until September, and I mean globally. Like, so there are a couple this weekend in Australia, but I don't imagine there'll be anywhere in the world now until at least September. The LGT just cancelled. That was a 40k and AOS event down in London.
When was that supposed to be?
April, May,
more than 3
June,
days.
July.
Oh, okay.
So that was July. Ume, I was meant to be going over to Fnatic in Sweden. They've cancelled. Us going over to it's in June. Sorry, that's cancelled. So that's finished. I think it's all the Warhammer World events have just cancelled. They've just put a post out today saying they're all cancelled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there probably won't be any mass Warhammer gatherings. Obviously, Adepticon cancelled.
Have they said how far in advance theirs are cancelled for? The Warhammer World.
Effective immediately.
No, I mean how many of them? Like up until July?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I didn't actually read that today. So up until June, maybe.
Okay.
So a considerable amount of time.
Mm.
So, I mean, like, it's tough, right? Because a lot of people, like, I know for a fact that going to events is one of the things that really makes a huge part of the hobby for such a huge variety, like, a huge group of us. What do you think? Like, I know I've just hit you with the news. I know it's not great news, but...
I know. Oh, I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it. Especially if you're going to go there and there's going to be nobody else there. So
No, they've just cancelled them.
yeah.
So like,
So you may as well stay at home then.
You might as well stay at home.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Nubgun says we should get you down 12-man tournaments covering the games. I agree. That'd be fun. Learn Trade Players says he's locked in here in Spain, which is fun. Wolfrey Scott says I panic bought yesterday the owner of a Seraphon army and I was out to get groceries. What the hell? So I honestly don't know. Some events, there's things like Bobo. Obviously, we had coverage for that lined up.
Yeah.
I mean, for the channel, I was meant to talk about this at the end, but for the channel, especially like as we're meant to be professionalising, doing a bunch of stuff. There's Six Nations. Haven't heard back from that. So Pete's organising that, but that currently so far is on the go, but might not be.
Yeah.
40k, not 40k, LGT. It's out the window. Meant to be going over to Canada, Sweden. We're meant to be in Australia next month. That's probably off the cards, right? We haven't checked on that, but
Yeah, I think at the moment you're supposed to be in isolation when you land in Australia
for 14 days.
So we'd have to.
Yeah, our entire time in Australia is less than like including travel is less than 14 days. So we won't get the opportunity to. So
not looking good.
No, not looking good at all. So for the show, we probably aren't going to be bringing you any live streaming of events for a considerable amount of time, which is genuinely like really upsetting.
Yeah.
Because number one, I know it's something that people really, really value. But also number two, it's like our way of doing work that people want to pay us to do. Like, I mean, nothing we do is free. Everything we do is free.
A 2-man tournament, best of 5.
Rob versus Nathan. If people will pay for it, let's do it. So yeah, so we probably won't be doing any live coverage for a considerable amount of time, which is genuinely upsetting. But I think we're going to try and do some stuff. But as much as I'm a bit of a renegade and Nathan's a bit of a renegade, I'd like to be prudent and still try and do some sensible things. So we might be able to organise some small...
I misheard you there at first. I thought you said I was a runny egg.
Runny egg.
I was like, I'm a runny egg, he's a runny egg. What's that all about? Renegade. Gotcha. Sorry.
Well, apparently people would pay for us to just play Warhammer against each other, Nate. So let's do that all day long. Okay, so I mean that's sad, and I was genuinely like, I've been working. So some of you guys won't know, I've been doing a bunch of shit behind the scenes. Really, working a lot on some of the stuff that we were going to launch over the summer, and now it's like okay.
On hold. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but like, what a fucking first world problem. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, I'm sure there are people out there who are also in really tough positions with their jobs.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks away if you work in a shop or a restaurant or something must suck. So we're all in it together. So whatever. But good news, if it's a good news to people, I'll be doing a live stream every day and we'll just hang out with each other. So if you're bored at home, I'm going to have all sorts of people on from all over the world, interview those people. We'll have a laugh. That'll be fun.
If you want to listen to a runny egg, go for it.
No, you're the runny egg, you dick. All right, should we get on with the show?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I just want to read the thingies. But
Oh, how's it going? How are you doing at reading it?
somebody's laughing at somebody, and somebody says, "Fuck it, why the not? Hey, why not shirtless millionaires? What? Too many words."
Will your daily show start on time? They will try to because Nathan won't be there. So
everything should.
Please do broadcast the 2-man tourney. That's fine. That's fine. Best of 5. 2-day, just you and me. I'm in so much. I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. All right, so I'm just going to talk about some tournament results from the weekend a little bit quickly, if that's okay with you.
That's cool.
So there was Australian GT Heat 1. So Australia has still had some events going down. I see my man Dennis there. Oh, what a sexy bastard. So it was won by Deepkin. By Luke. Blake came second with Flesh Eater Courts, and Patrick came third with Carriage and Overlords, which is fun. I'm going to go grab those lists later. There was also the SAGT, which was won by Patrick Nevin and his Corn, which is cool, and Joel Graham, who I think I saw in the chat earlier, with his Big War, he came in second as well. He was also 5-0. So again, do you remember Summer Smash when they did the first, second, third place Big Wars? Yeah, Big Wars. Well, he's then gone second at this event.
Another one.
Which Blades of Corn doing well is exciting. And then Reese McGillin, with his Fire Slayers. Again, I think Reese has been doing really well with his Fire Slayers recently as well. So that's another event that was on.
Yeah, loads of different dudes.
And I think
different armies.
Yes, and there was also for the FOTOWI, I think. I think that was in the UK. That was over in Northern Ireland, because I think that little fucking rapscallion, Chris Caves Jr., took it out. Zinch in first, Zinch in second, and in KO came third. Bit of Barrack Ziflin. There's been a KO list. I think that might be Dave Kane's KO. He's been doing really well over there with... I think it's Dave Kane. I saw Pete in the chat earlier, so if Pete could let me know if that's correct, but I don't know. So that's fun. So a nice little spread.
Yeah.
Corn, actually really surprising.
Yeah.
Going in first, 5-0. Australia loves Corn as an army, though, right?
That's a good army, I think.
I agree.
I know you and fucking what's his face don't agree, but
what's his face?
James.
Oh, Powell.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm going to talk about Corn today. So you and me are going to do two things today.
Yeah.
Nate's going to do a review of one-drop Gitz lists, and I'm going to talk about so I'm going to talk about impact hits. So I've been doing some research, and I think I'd like to talk about it a bit today, and then come back next week with, I think, it more like fully rounded out with the best list. But this is my mission now. I'll tell you about it later, like in detail. But the mission is to design the best movement-based damage army in the game. Because I was talking about the Phoenixes before, right?
Yeah.
And I've also been talking about Blood Crushers, Skull Crushers. But there's a whole bunch of stuff. So there's damage that you do in the movement phase, and obviously with the release of Pterodons, because what kicked it off was I looked at the Dreadsaurian War Scroll. And have you seen his War Scroll?
Yeah.
So if he charges anything that's not a monster, ends up within an inch, they take D6 mortal wounds. A monster takes D3.
Yeah.
But it's got a fucking massive base. So if he ends up even remotely close to like 3 or 4 units, you could be doing 2 or 3 D6 mortal wounds. But the Pterodons, they obviously just in the movement phase by moving once per battle only though, they can be doing all those. They could do 12 D3 mortal wounds potentially, but statistically with the command ability from the Pterodon Chief, it's more likely to be 10. So, like 10 D3 mortal wounds, 20 mortal wounds in the movement phase. I just think that there's a really interesting... everyone keeps talking about not everyone keeps talking about, but there's a lot of talk obviously going on about shooting, and I think there's some really good shooting armies now, but I really like the idea of...
Moving damage.
And whether or not... and you and me to talk about it later, we'll talk about it with the chat as well, I've got some ideas. And whether or not that's like a counter to anything, or if that's just like, especially for a team list composition, the idea that you're going to go and do some damage in the movement phase. And obviously, like, you've got some experience that with Boingrots, obviously with more crushers and anything that does impact hits. So I think there's some really cool stuff there.
Yeah.
If that hurts. W.S. Soren, good afternoon on YouTube. Okay. So do you want to talk to me about Gitz? Or do you know what? I mean, you always want to talk to me about Gitz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned it before, but I can go a bit deeper now for those people that are interested in a one-drop Gitz list. There's actually 2 one-drop Gitz lists available.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a spider one as well, but I've not gone deep into that one, but
okay.
it is available for those that fancy it. But the one-drop Gitz list that I've been running, and had a few wins with it.
So I've actually titled this, you might have seen on the overlay, The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
That's the title of the show, because obviously for me, I'm the Fast doing impact hits, you're the Furious making one-drop Gitz lists. Just want you to... I thought that was my own little joke there. TT Chris says, have I missed anything other than all the tournaments getting cancelled? No, you haven't. We'll talk about that at the end, because I think there's some good community building. I think that Catacross, thank you for subscribing for 5 months. I think one of the best things about all the tournaments being cancelled, if there's anything good at all, obviously, is that we might be able to community build even better than we ever have. Like, most of us are always rushing from tournament to tournament, especially with the drop of the amount of books that have been released. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, I think it could be a good thing for us all as a group. Yeah, slow down a little bit, collect ourselves, ask ourselves what's the best way of doing what we're doing in the future, and then coalesce later. You see what I mean? Yeah, like the Starborn. Yeah, I brought that back around narrative. Anyway, one drop Gitz. Go
What's
for it.
the scissoring thing for?
Scissoring?
Yeah.
That's coalescing.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's
Gotcha.
called.
Mm,
That's why I always type into the search engine anyway. Coalescing.
Gotcha.
Go for it.
Cool. So the War Scroll Battalion, the overarching one is called the Moon Clan Scrap.
Yep. Question from Grinaldi for you. So, as an AOS noobler, I have to ask, why is low drop so good that everyone wants to be low drop? Nath.
It's because, obviously, if you finish deploying first, you can decide who takes the first turn.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, if you're using to get low drop, you normally have a battalion, so you get extra abilities that the battalion gives you, and they're normally quite tasty. And then it also gives you extra command point and extra artifact, which are all breezy bonuses.
Both of those probably worth about 50 points, right? So a battalion, because of the bonuses it gives you inherently, ignoring the ability it gives you, is worth 100 points. So some of the battalions are even cheaper than that, right?
Yeah, there's not many at the moment.
Not
I
many,
think.
but
yeah.
some.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a few. So the Moon Clan Scrap consists of every single Moon Clan grot that could be rousted, bullied, or lured out of their lurklair and shoved hastily into some semblance of battle order.
Is that what's going to happen to us when we're all finally out of quarantine?
Yeah, we'll
We're gonna
be
get moon Clan
rousted,
scrapped?
bullied, or lured out of our lurklairs. Any reluctance for the upcoming fight that they that this greenskin horde might possess is swiftly eclipsed as the bad moon rises and the Gloomspite seizes hold of them.
Okay.
So there we go. Oops, it's gone. Where did it go? So anyway, that's bollocks. This is a clever machine. So the abilities that this gives you is a spreading lunacy ability.
Spreading lunacy?
Yeah.
Please tell me more.
When the Moon Clan grots gather into a scrap, the energies of the Gloomspites surge through them like a tide and send them frothing mad.
Okay.
Basically, that means, in layman's terms,
In non-grot terms.
that you do not take battle shock tests or any units from this battalion while they are affected by the light of the moon, of the bad moon.
Is the coronavirus actually the curse of the bad moon? And like Learn Train Play says, Gloomspite are actually the nerds that survived the virus.
Yeah, one of the interesting things, the little blight flies that the Nurgle sends out doesn't affect greenskins.
Does it not?
No.
Is that genuinely true?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. We're immuno to it. Yeah.
So that ability, when I first looked at it, I sort of wrote it off as not that interesting, really, because it's like immune to battle shock, which you have that ability with if you're around the Loon Shrine anyway, and then with command points and stuff. But having played with it a couple of times, quite often you're going to hand a Gorka unit over somewhere to pinch an objective for a turn or so. So having the immunity to battle shock without having to spend command points, or because they're too far from a hero, and then you don't have to create tails back and all of that malarkey, has proved to be really, really useful. Because quite often my list will have Scragrot in it, and I'll make sure that the moon is in the center of the board for the turns that I want to score points. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the time, when you're playing battle plans, you're defending your own points, but you want to nick one of your opponent's points for at least a turn, so that you're above, and then you just concentrate on defending your own. And that's
your style with Gitz.
Yeah. That seems to be the style that I've ended up playing with Gitz quite a bit. So,
okay.
So that helps if on that turn you can drop your unit in, nick the gold for a turn, and then they'll just hang around for that bit longer to maybe make it 2 turns because they're immune to battle shock.
Mm-hmm.
So that ability, whereas it didn't sound that great, has actually proved to be really useful. Anyway, this battalion consists of 1 to 3 loon bosses, a Moon Clan wizard hero. You can have 0 to 1 Gobbapaloozas.
I mean, always take a Gobbapalooza, surely, Nath.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that is, so it's not keyworded, so I'm assuming you'll have to take the Gobbapalooza battalion with that, which makes it virtually impossible to include one of those. You can take 1 to 3 units of Sneaky Snufflers, which I think are one of the best units in the Gloomspite, available to the Gloomspite.
Mm-hmm.
0 to 2 Squig Herds, 1 Skulk Mob Horde, so you have to take another battalion inside, so 1+, but you can only fit the 1 in. And then 0 to 3 Squig Rider Stampedes, if you want to take a load more battalions. But so you're not going to have points for those other battalions. It's going to basically concentrate around the Skulk Mob Horde and those heroes. So your problem being that you're taking 1 to 3 loon bosses and only 1 wizard hero. A Gloomspite tend to rely on decent wizard support. Fortunately, though, Scragrot, this is keyword loon bosses. So you could take loon boss or Mangler Squig. You could take the dude that's just on foot, or you could take the guy that's riding the giant squig.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, Scragrot is a loon boss.
Good.
So you can drop him in there using one of those loon boss.
It's quite rare that you actually have like a name character with a keyword that can go. Like, for instance, Kairos isn't Lord Change for. Oh no, he might be for the Lord Change Battalion. Yeah, but sometimes it's not there and it's odd, right?
So yeah, so that's really useful. So Scragrot becomes one of those loon bosses, and he becomes a general.
Nice.
And then that frees up the other Moon Clan wizard hero. So you've only got a choice of 2: the Fungoid or the Madcap. I tend to go with the Madcap just because in this scenario you end up with quite a few artifacts, and the Madcap has access to. Unfortunately, the Fungoid doesn't have access to any of the Moon Clan artifacts for some reason, but the Madcap do. So, and the artifacts are really good. He's got a choice of 3, but the 2 that I would look at is the Staff of Sneaky Stealing.
The Staff of Sneaky Stealing,
which is for every enemy wizard within 12 inches, you get an extra +1 to cast.
Oh wow!
And then if there's any heroes, in addition, if there's any heroes with an artifact within 12 inches, you get +1 to cast. So if there's a wizard with an artifact, you get +2 to cast off that guy.
Yeah, so if a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist is trying to smash through your castle, like that's already a +2, right?
Yeah.
Because he's going to have the artifact. So yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, there were lists. I don't know if you remember, right at the beginning of the Gloomspite thing, where you would teleport a Madcap into close enough to the enemy and give him the staff, and then he would be casting endless spells and other spells. So he's got once per game where he can cast an additional spell. So there's always,
with all those pluses, like that's a really good. That's a good time, right?
Yeah. If you've got a spell that you think can really immobilize your enemy. So at the time we were thinking the Mork's Mighty Mushroom was the spell, but it's turned out not to be the spell. But yeah, something like that, a Purple Sun or something like that can go into and really do a devastating first turn, or really turn the tide for you strongly in your favor.
A big alpha move.
That is something that you could do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's only a 4-wound wizard with a 6-up save. So
has he got a DPR?
No.
Oh dear, it's just a 6-up save. I just want to say thank you to Trog for subscribing for 7 months. Who says Grots are stupid and Trogs are the bestest. Nath, how do you feel about that?
Trogs are the bestest.
Trogs are the bestest and Grots are stupid.
He's not wrong. Trogs are stupid. Trogs and Grots are stupid. Trogs are probably the best at being stupid, if that's what he's implying.
So some of you might be interested why we're talking about 1-drops. and I'll quickly interject here, is because there's a bit of a race to the bottom, which I've mentioned before. In that, what's happening is some of the armies, and it's been sometimes in the game or in Age of Sigmar, there have been times when Games Workshop put out a book that's super imbalanced, and then people have been able to beat you on the first turn. Or they've been able to give you the first turn. There's been really nothing you can do about the kicking you're about to get. Yeah. So people's way of dealing with that would be to go first, or if you have lower enough drops, you'd be able to get the chance to go first. And we're unfortunately maybe in one of those times again, with Tzeentch being the main perpetrator of that evil.
Yeah. So this was my answer to Tzeentch. A 1-drop Tzeentch list was to make a 1-drop Gitz list and then hope that I'll win the roll-off.
I mean, to be fair, it's the same as any other element, right?
Yeah.
We're rolling off to see if you can win, right?
Well, if I got a chance to play more than a turn, basically.
Yeah.
So, so it gives you the chance to go first if you need to go first to stop the alpha, because Gits don't have any access to stuff where you can deploy outside of your deployment zone and create a big enough depth of field to protect the bulk of your army, so and to get some buffs up. So if you need to take that first turn, although the times that I've used it and it's been really useful for me is where I've given that first turn to my opponents, because then they've not had the option of an alpha. Now normally my Gits lists are 13, 14, 17 drop lists. I think the list I played against you was a 17 drop list.
Yeah,
so,
which is the first time I've ever got the choice to go first with my 12 drops each list. Yeah.
So normally my opponent will have the option to choose who goes first, and a lot of the time they will give me first turn. So having the opportunity to make them take first turn has been pretty cool, really, sometimes, because it just means that your opponent will quite often break their deployment, and start to open up, and then
with those cheeky teleports coming in from the Gloomspite,
then you can start picking away. So a lot of people will expose various bits of themselves during that first, if they get given the first turn. And if you're given the first turn as a Gits player, that's something that you do. You'll teleport somebody away, and now they're on with a chance of a double, and you've got a unit that could be isolated. So
yes,
yeah,
100%. I understand.
So the madcap. So there's that star for sneaky stealing, which I like a lot. But the artifact that I've tended to go with is the Moonface Mommet, which is you just pick a unit within 12 at the start of the combat phase and take one off of their armor save.
Which is when they charge you.
Yeah. At the start of any combat phase, you don't have to roll the dice or anything. You just point at a unit. You don't even have to see them.
Oh, an anonymous cheerer. Thanks for donating 1,000 bits to the show.
What?
Oh, and it's also an anonymous. I didn't know you could do it anonymously, but thank you. It's very, very lovely of you. Big love.
Yeah. So, I mean, that Moonface moment, that's just great. But it's effectively giving your grots rend, or increasing the rend of, like, Boring Rock Bounders.
So they're almost as strong as a skink now.
Yeah.
Because they've all got rend. Yeah. Like, not actual the skink unit, before someone goes away and it's like, oh, Rob said they got rend. No. Like,
they have access to rend as well.
Yeah, they've got access, yeah. That's fun. Okay, good. Good.
So, yeah, that's my option for the Moonclan Wizard hero. Some people might prefer to go with the Fungoid, because he is more survivable, and he does have a cool rule where you can get command points on a 4-up. And then, obviously, if you want to stick an artifact on him, you've got access to all the realm artifacts. You can wang one of those on him.
Okay.
Maybe like a giant diadem or something like that.
Okay, good.
Because obviously, if you take in Scragrot as one of your loon bosses, he can't take an artifact. He's a named character. Then I do like taking 2 loon bosses, because you got a choice of up to 3. So I just take 2 of the bog standard dudes on foot, just because I'm taking a Scalp Mob Horde, so they're there to buff up the grots, give them the mortal wounds that they have with their command ability. 6 to wound gives them a mortal wound for if the unit's wholly within 12 at the start of the combat phase. So that's a really good command ability.
It's very good. It's
yeah.
scary. You just delete
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, with the buffs that you can get, the grots do become proper little blenders. So I'll show you.
Like think of, if you guys have got any fear of plague monks, think of that, but stick mortal wounds on top of them, really.
Yeah, they especially doubled down with the Moonface Mommet. So that's a great little combination. Now, the Loom bosses, I'll give them other artifacts as well. At the time I was writing the list, I was just concentrating on taking artifacts from the Gloomspite list book.
Mm-hmm.
So the two that I was looking at, the Loom bosses have got access to their own. So I was giving one the Backstabber's Blade.
Nice. What does that do?
So that's pretty cool. I don't think you see it very often, but it's really...
Well, no, because it's in your back.
Yeah.
You can't see it. It's coming from behind.
You don't see it until it's got you.
Right in the shank.
Yeah,
go on.
So it's a great little shanker. It... if you roll a 6 to hit with it, then your opponent doesn't get to save. There's no save, basically.
Okay, but you can only stick that on a madcap.
No, you only stick it on the Loom boss.
Oh, okay. Can he do much damage?
So he's come standard with 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1.
Could you fanatic him and snuffle him?
Yes.
So you could give him +2 attack?
Yes, you could.
Nice. And wait, what damage is it? Damage what?
D3.
So 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 1, D3 damage. No save, though.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
Could be Ren 2 with the Moonface Moment.
But why you just do that with no saves?
Yeah. Well, if you're rolling a 6s to hit.
It's fine, easy. Just
yeah.
roll 6s. It's just printing them out at that stage, right? Okay.
Yeah. So it's more of a fun item, but I have used it a couple of times and it's actually quite a bit more useful than you would think, especially against OBR, against the Ossiarch Bone Reapers.
Yes.
So,
yeah. So they can't get that 3+.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's great. So that's my fun one for that, and then the other guy's taking the Spiteful Prodder. So this is units of 5 or more grots, but it's Moonclan grots. No, I think it's just grots actually. Units of 5 or more grots within 12 inches power up this Prodder, and so for each unit of them, you get a shot. It hits on a 5 up, and it just does D3 mortal wounds. Unfortunately, some things like Fanatics don't have the grot keyword, so you have to be aware.
Why don't they have the grot keyword, Nathan?
Because otherwise they'd be too powerful.
Kids should have just missed it out, didn't they? Come on, be honest.
No, they said specifically in the thing that...
What, in the designer's commentary?
Yeah.
That if you gave Fanatics the grot keyword, they'd be too powerful. Do you agree with that sentence?
Yes.
There's some sarcasm on Nathan's face for the listeners at home. Yira Shorty just says, "Hey, Rob and Nathan, both legends." Thanks very much, Yira Shorty. Probably more... What's the bad word for legend? Infamous. In a bad way. Chukabutty also in the house, and he's also changed. If you do watch on Twitch, by the way, if you ever want to join us live on Twitch, please do. If you watch for long enough, you get little points, and then our emoticons, which you get if you subscribe, you're able to change to have little cute. I don't know what that. I think he's given it a headdress for some reason. I don't know why. Did King Brew give Nathan any more leaks into the new Gargant faction? Says Bucket Ninja. I know he's connected into the Deep Destruction State. Nathan, are you the playtester? Are you not only the playtester? Are you the only playtester for the new Gargant's Battletome?
I wish I was, but no, I've not seen anything. There were loads of leaks or rumours at Slaughter, weren't there?
Oh, Mark Wilson. Oh, thanks for joining Patreon. Mark Wilson, who's organising the LGT, or maybe not now. So that's actually really fucking nice of Mark, who's great, by the way. Bit of a shame if LGT is not going forward. But I think it might be going on beyond September. But, oh, man, thanks. Really appreciate that, especially as I've lost my DJ job. So, because all the bars have to close. Mm. So I'm now a streamer full time, which is scary. It's a bit like someone's just pulled the parachute from me, which is not good because I'm scared of heights. Just move on. I'm feeling shy now because someone joined Patreon and I feel weird. You're all great. Thank you. Continue.
Yes. So the Spiteful Prodder, you normally got 2-3 shots out of that. It's 18 inches, so it's quite good.
That's a good Prodder.
Yeah.
It's almost as long as my Spiteful Prodder. It's not a
Almost.
reference to my penis. It's just a reference to my salty attitude.
Oh, okay. So 18 inches, D3 mortal wound. So that's quite a nice little poke, really. Right. So obviously unable. Really can ignore the Gobbapalooza in this because if you do take it, you can take it, but it does eat up virtually all of your points. So the next element of this is including the Skulk Mob Horde, which is another battalion. So this is why you get the extra command points and extra artifacts.
Gitz don't even need more command points though, because you just got command points for days anyway, right?
Yeah. Saying that, I mean, it does rely on you. This list, you only get Scragrot generating extra ones.
Okay.
And he only does it on a 4-up. So, for instance, I used it a couple of times, and the first 2 turns I didn't roll the 4-up. So, you're kind of low on command points. So, but then again, the one game I rolled the 4-up. He was next to some commanding. He maxed the 4-up, and obviously I started with the one that you get, the 2 from the battalions, and then the extra 3. I ended up with 7 command points. So I was like, "Whoa, I'm rolling them."
Oh,
but
okay.
they quickly disappeared. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, you do use them a lot.
Before we go on, I've had a question from Colonel Cabbage. He says, Nathan, why have you got your hand down your pants? I'm playtesting the Gargant's battle tome. Is it true that if you stuff your pants better, as Nathan is the chief playtester for the Gargant's battle tome, is it true that if you stuff your pants with various items, specifically pineapples, but all manner of things, a pig that you find, whatever you want to
Just
put down
stuff
your
for
pants,
later.
just stuff for later, that you play better as a Gargant's player?
Definitely.
100%. What's your like go-to to stuff down your pants? Same question to Twitch chat. Before you play with your Gargants.
Just whatever's to hand. Preferably some of your opponent's models.
Imagine you just picked up one person's one skink and you just put it down your pants and you put it back in their 10 skinks and jumbled them up. They'd be like, fuck you. Obviously, that you should never ever do that. That's bang out of order. I would never condone that. Although if someone did do it to me, I would fucking cry laughing. Okay, all right. Sorry. Please continue. Sorry.
Cool. No worries. So, Skulk Mob Horde. This is your extra battalion. Now, this one's quite a good one. This one has got the Endless Hordes ability, whereby Moonclan Grots are emboldened in large numbers.
Okay.
And tides of reinforcements are more likely to flow to battle if the fight is really going in their favour.
All right, I'm into that.
Yeah. So once per battle, when you use your Bad Moon Loon Shrine's Moonclan Lair ability to successfully replace a destroyed unit from this battalion, the replacement unit has all of the models from the destroyed unit instead of half of the models. So once per battle. So basically, whenever you lose a unit of stabbers or shooters for the first time, you can roll the dice on a 4-up. You bring back half of that unit.
Mm-hmm.
So this lets you to bring back a full unit of those lads,
which is amazing.
Yeah,
big unit of 60 boys. You roll that 4+. You've got the whole unit of 60 boys again, which is, and 60 boys are 60 grots are how many points?
360.
Okay, so it's obviously not as reliable as some of the other mechanics we've seen, but still 360 points returned, which is great because it allows you to kind of throw them away, hoping you get them back later, because you can keep rolling for them, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, so I did run the Skulk Mob Horde list without it being in the scrap. And I think it's 100 and... I'll tell you now. It's 100 and...
This keyboard's fucked. There we go.
Oh.
We're talking about... Cycle in the chat saying what we're talking about. We're talking about grots, specifically one-drop lists.
Yeah.
Which are getting rarer and rarer, obviously, apart from for some reason there's a huge battle time.
So it's 160 points. So it's quite expensive as a battalion, and so if you equate the fact that you get 100 points, 50 for the artifact, 50 for the command point, so it means 60 points is bringing you back an extra half of the unit. So half of 360 is 180.
Yeah.
So effectively, you're getting 60 points for free worth of free grots, basically. So
It's pretty good.
yeah, it's tasty. But then if you thought, well, if I instead of spending those 60, if I spent the extra 60, or if I spend 160 points on extra grots, then it would work out to effectively the same. So yeah, but this means you're getting the artifact and the.
But there's also
an
in-game mechanic as well. Like there's the positional play of you lose the unit, but then that unit that you lost or the unit that killed your unit is where maybe you wanted them to be.
Yeah.
Like there's no way people are missing that grot block, right? You're putting them on an objective and someone's coming for them with something, whatever it might be. But you might play to that's where you want, because there's not tons of range damage in Gitz. I know there's a bunch of our spells, which is pretty decent, but you're gonna, you almost want to counterplay by having them on the objective. They're gonna lose to whatever they're gonna lose to. I mean, it's much better if you get the charges off and you play your way, but then you can countercharge onto that and then wipe that thing out. It's not bad, which is different to having just more grots, because there's no counterplay there. You lose that block and they're not coming back. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, the grot reinforcement mechanic is not the best mechanic. Not the best of. Well, it's probably the worst of all the summoning mechanics.
Yes.
Basically, because it's at the end of your turn and it's only on a 4-up, so it's not very reliable, and it's at the end of your turn. So it's really hard to make use of that unit until. Well, you can't use it in your turn. You can use it to grab an objective at that point, but yeah, it's a difficult one to play with, but it is obviously it's use. It's when it happens, it's like
great.
The game becomes so much easier.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a great ability, really. What the Skeleton Mob Horde forces you to take though is 3 units or 3 or more units of stabbers or shooters in any combination.
Okay.
And then 3 units of Loon Smasher or Spore Splatter Fanatics in any combination. So stabbers are just great as they are. They're just
because when you're talking about grots, you're talking about stabbers, not shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, I do use the shooters as well. So the stabbers are great. They're 130 for 20 dudes. They come with 3 nets in the unit, which are everybody's favorite model.
Not mine.
So which have this 2-inch -1 to hit bubble that they throw out all the time. It's good. It's always good to note that is in any phase as well. So if you can charge a shooting unit, you can subtract 1 off of their shooting.
That's
to
huge.
hit.
Yeah.
So
I actually didn't know that. That's good.
That's really really good. And then they're also proper little beasts in a fight because they've got 3 attacks each, the netters.
As opposed to the regular grot 1.
Yeah. So hitting on 4s, wounding on 5s though. But then the unit itself, the bigger the unit gets, you get pluses to wound. So 15 or more is +1 to wound. 30 or more is +2 to wound.
Mm-hmm.
Your regular grot with his little stabber. So I only ever take the little stabber as opposed to the spear because it hits on 4s. And I just think that's better than hitting on 5s. Even if you get a few extra attacks from spears. Although in a big block it's probably even, but it's only while the block is big. And quite often your block will be spread out anyway. So you should get most of your stabbers in, or enough stabbers in. So I'm happier that they're hitting on 4s than hitting on 5s. But it's your own choice there anyway.
Yeah.
And then they wound on 4s, so they can be wounding on 2s with the +2 to wound if there's a big block.
Yeah,
so
but 2s to wound is obviously
pretty
crazy.
Scary, yeah.
And then also the fact that you're doing mortal wounds on the 6s.
Yeah.
Like that's can be really big, right?
Yeah. So the stabbers combine really nicely with the Loon Boss. 6s to wound become mortal wounds in addition. Combine really nice with the Moonface Mommet that's on the Mad Cap. Giving them the rend, and then obviously you got 2 other buffing units. So you got Sneaky Snufflers, where you can give them +1 attack from that, and also the Spore Splatter Fanatics. If at the start of the hero phase they're wholly within 12 of a unit of Spore Splatter Fanatics, Yeah, +1 attack. So +2 attacks means that those little grots have got 3 attacks each.
And the netters have got 5 attacks each.
Yes.
Wow.
If you really want to double down on it, you can take 2 units of Sneaky Snufflers and double Sneaky Snuffle them. Obviously, you take 2d6 mortal wounds. So on a big
average is 7.
Yeah, on a big block of 60 grots, that's not a problem. Means you get an extra attack as well.
Wow. So 4 attacks per grot.
Yeah, that's
hitting on 4s, wound on 2s. Wow.
Yeah, and the netters have got 6 attacks each.
Fuck.
So.
Doing mortal wounds on 6s to wound.
Yeah.
It's like skinks, right? Like, I played against that netter block. Like, they'll just delete. They'll delete a thing.
Yeah.
It's just when they're gone, because they're also your screen, they're also your objective. Like, you're asking a lot of 60 tiny little lads working their balls off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And they are only bravery 4, but that's where the immune to battle shock under the light of the moon is. If they're under the light of the moon, they're also rerolling 1s to hit. So 4s rerolling 1s, 2s or 3s, depending on if they've got nets or not. 6s to wound are doing mortals. -1 from the moon face mommet. So proper scary in a fight, but all of those buffs are wholly within 12 of the Loom Boss, wholly within 12 of the Spore Splatter Fanatics, and wholly within 12 of the Sneaky Snufflers.
So you have to do like,
and they're all in different phases. So the wholly within 12 of the Spore Splatter Fanatics is at the start of the hero phase,
right,
not during the hero phase. So you can't like teleport your Spore Splatters
to them and then do it.
Yeah. So you've got to. So that's a little trick that you've got to try and line up all the time. So making sure at the end of each of your turn that the Spore Splatter Fanatics are in a position to buff those units that you want to be fighting. The Sneaky Snufflers do it at the start of the movement phase, and if they do that, then they cannot move. So again, if you're wanting them to continue the buff in the following turn, you're going to have to teleport them to the block if the block moves out of range. And then the Loom Boss buff is wholly within 12 at the start of the combat phase. So you got to make sure he's run up into a decent place or else charged with them, so that at the start of the combat phase they're wholly within range. And then when they pile in, if they pile in out of that range, then you've got to be aware of that for the next turn and make sure that he moves up to compensate.
Fuck.
Or else that you've not moved like too far one way or the other. So
there's a lot to manage.
It's a proper headache to do, but when it happens, it's glorious because they do absolutely rip their way through anything.
And it must be fun to just blitz anything with grots.
Yeah.
Like teeny little fellas.
Yeah. They proper kill anything. Like units of Mortec Guard, they'll kill those. Any of that sort of stuff, they will. But it's only if they've got all the buffs
on.
Yeah.
But what's nice about it is none of them are spell buffs. Like, they're just abilities in range buffs. You're not even rolling any dice.
Yeah.
I know, like, it's hard to manage, but you do get the opportunity to manage it. It's not you're having to cast a spell or, which someone can unbind, or a prayer which unreliably goes off.
Yeah.
It's very likely to happen, and almost none of it requires a CP. So
yeah, just the Loom Boss.
Just the Loom Boss ability, and you should be getting enough, right?
Yeah.
T. Glasson, thanks for the 200 bits. He says he needs more grots. Big love. In the chat. Thanks for the furious part of this podcast. Too Fast, Too Furious.
Great. So in my thing, I've got the unit of 60 stabbers. I think I've got a unit of 40 stabbers, and then I've got a unit of 20 shooters. The shooters are 10 points less, so they're 120. So 120 points for 20 bodies.
Great.
Pretty good. Their shooting is subpar.
They're trying really hard.
Yeah. I think they get +1 to hit when there's 15 or more of them.
Yeah.
So hitting on 4s, winning on 5s. Normally it's 5s and 5s.
Okay. Yeah.
They don't get any of the buffs. So they'll have the buffs in combat, and you can take netters in the unit as well. So in combat they're better in combat than they are at shooting in reality. But they're not great. Then they're still behind the stabbers, but in a long way. And the stabbers,
and they don't scale with the buffing.
No,
like the stabbers do.
And then also the stabbers come with shields, so that gives them. While there's more than 10 of them, that gives them +1 to save. So they're actually on a 5-up save, whereas the shooters are on a 6-up save.
I mean, a 5-up save isn't bad.
It's not bad on the big unit. And then
For
also
20 points.
So you've got an option on the banner bearers in both the units. You can take a flag that gives you +2 bravery or +1 bravery. I think +1 bravery actually. And then, or you can take an icon that gives you +1 to save in the shooting phase.
Wow, so that means you can be on a 4-up save? No.
Yeah, so the stabbers can be on a 4-up.
In shooting?
Against shooting. So that's normally the first one I'll give them will be the icon. And then if it's in a big enough block where they can take 2 banners, then they can have the bravery one as well.
Man, yeah. +1 save against shooting is genuinely decent because I think there's going to be more and more shooting out there at the moment. But we'll see, like whether or not that's the case.
Yeah.
Whether or not I'm right.
Yeah, no, I agree that being defensive against shooting is really good because it is
quite rare.
Is something that they're susceptible to. Really, is being shot at. Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? True. We're all really susceptible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the main thing with your normal grots, the shooters and stabbers. So obviously you're gonna also take a unit of Loon Smasher fanatics and Spore Splatters. So my loader, I've got 2 units of the Spore Splatters. Oh wait, yeah. So for the 1-drop list, I don't have the 60. I've got 2 40s and then 20 shooters. That's the way it works out. So basically, 1 unit of Spore Splatters follows the 140, and the other unit of Spore Splatters follows the other. And likewise, a Loon Boss follows each one of those. And then I take 2 units of Sneaky Snufflers, and they each follow the unit. So now each little group of unit of 3 or 4 dudes goes off, and they're like buffing the grots. And then
so it's like Double Dragon, 2 fists,
and
fast and furious.
They're proper,
thunder and lightning.
They are pretty good as a self-contained unit of 3, really. But again, like I said, it's all disjointed, so you've got to be careful when you trigger what abilities you want to, because you might not want to use the Sneaky Snuffler ability, and because you're going to need it for the following turn. So you're going to need them to run up behind the grots so that the next turn they can snuffle your grots and give them the dude. So just got to be aware of when you trigger your abilities and make sure that you got the Spore Splatters in range and everything.
Okay.
Loon Smashers are great. They just not as good as they used to be, obviously, where they could block charges, but that was probably a bit strong, so that's gone. But you can release them in any charge phase if it's your turn where your unit can charge. So you can't run and try and release them, basically. Or else you can release them at the start of your opponent's charge phase. And they have always strikes first, which is great.
Yeah. And actually, we don't talk about that very much. I haven't heard anyone ever complain about the always strikes first on those Loon
Smashers. Yeah, I mean, the thing with them is they're very swingy because they have the 4s to hit.
Yeah. And D6 attacks each.
And D6 attacks.
Roll badly
so you can. I mean, I have had 5 of them destroy 15 Ard Boys. Like, gone.
So we had 2 questions in the chat. Mr. T says, what does snuffle your grots mean? So there's a unit called Sneaky Snufflers, which is a grot, and he's got a little squig, and the squig roots around for a very special type of mushroom. He then uses that mushroom, collects it, and then feeds it to the big unit of grots, who all they all hallucinate. They get super high. Basically, mushrooms are basically grot cocaine. Yeah, it's basically what they're talking about. Then the grots get all the extra attacks, and then they run forward, and then they smash, which is great. Victor says, "Did you see the Gloomspite Italian list that finished second at the GT in February?" Victor, we did not. If you could let us, if you could find the link to it and stick it in the chat, I'd love that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And Bogler says, "What the heck is going on here?" Great question.
That's what everybody wonders.
That's what everyone wonders all the time. But is that Bogler? Does that mean we also need one eye?
A boggle eye.
Oh, is that Boggle Eye? No, Boggle Eye is different to Bogler, isn't it? Yeah.
He's going to cast Mesmerize on somebody.
Yeah. All right. So where were you? Sorry.
Right. So yeah, the Loon Smashers, they hit on 4s and it's D6 attacks. So yeah, they can go absolutely crazy. I've had 5 of them, like I said, kill 15 Ard Boys, which is no, no,
that's 30 wounds with a 4-up save.
Yeah, that's pretty tasty. With hits to spare, but then I've had 5 of them attack 3 Giselles and not kill one of them. So,
which is 6 wounds with a 5-up save.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, they are.
So Boggler says, no, this is Boggler the Orc. Boggle is a freaking grot. Apologies, Boggler. Apologies. Don't want to piss off a greenskin. Okay. So, and they can do some good counter punching, right?
Yeah, so the what I tend to use them for in this list, so I've got a unit of 5, and it's when I teleport a block of 40 grots, I can then release the fanatics in my charge phase then. I've obviously had to teleport 9 inches away with the grots, but I can release the fanatics up to 3 inches. So it means that the fanatics have got a 6-inch charge. So
why did no one ever just build 15 into a list and just like hammer them into shit?
People have done that. There's that Timmy guy does that.
Which Timmy Fisher?
No, Timmy.
Oh, Warboss Timmy.
Yeah,
fucking love that guy. Yeah.
So I think he did it before they changed the Angels book, where you could give the battalion +2 attacks from Godrak. Yeah. So yeah, he did that with this battalion.
That's great.
And then just give the whole battalion +2 attacks.
Just fucking delete
Teleport.
the Earth.
Yeah. And then some stuff would just disappear under a swarm of fanatics, and some stuff would just kill you first.
See, that's how you really play Warhammer, I think, nowadays. That's I'm into that. Yeah, deal.
Yeah. So that so I use them more like basically it's a bit like a shooting unit, but you're shooting in the combat phase. You teleport in, you've got a 6-inch charge with this unit. It goes in and targets something. It's not reliable. It's not big enough unit to kill a big unit of something. So, like a unit of witches or something like that. It's not going to... It'll probably knock a decent-sized hole into them. But the fanatics are obviously super fragile, and they'll die to whatever. If there's something left there, it'll kill them. So, I use it... I would tend to use it to try and either kill an important hero or like really disable a hero or a unit. Yeah.
The fanatics?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Loon Smashers. So
because they've got always strikes first, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty decent.
Yeah. So really useful in your... so I think what they were designed for and what they're useless at is for accepting a charge. If somebody comes up to you, like lines themselves up in front of your unit, and you think, right, well, I'll release these fanatics, and when you release them, they've got to be 3 away from your opponent.
Yeah.
So that means if your opponent is rammed right up into your face, so they're 3 inches in front of your unit, it means you're going to have to release them on the side somewhere. And so when your opponent charges, if he just charges and makes sure he charges the big unit and just stays outside of 3 of the fanatics, and then when it's his turn, obviously always strikes first. The fanatics aren't within range, so they can't do anything. And then they just pile in and kill the fanatics and the unit.
Right.
So they've not ever done their use. And I think most decent players that are playing against fanatics will see that and...
Yeah, and not do that.
Yeah, and so very seldomly will the fanatics do what I think they were designed to do, which was try and make people less comfortable charging blocks of grots.
Right.
So, I mean, you can still release them behind the grots so that when people pile in and kill the grots,
you hopefully get the next turn and attack.
Fanatics can then pile it back into them and attack.
Mm.
But, it's not doing what it was supposed to do, like damaging people that are charging into you.
Mm. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I don't.
The only thing that would make that slightly different is if you've got an objective or something, and then people have to charge that specific point, but that's very situational. And so I think they're much more useful in your own charge phase, which is why I've gone for the double spore splatters. I just think they're better. So the spore splatters block line of sight and they buff your grots,
which is great.
They also have always strikes first, so you can towards late game they're pretty good in a fight. You can snuffle them.
So you get +1 attack?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Snufflers work on Moon Clan units, so you can snuffle these guys. They also have the always strikes first. They hit on 2s, because they're hitting with big soft mushrooms. So it's apparently really easy to hit you with those. but it only wounds on 4s.
Oh, well, mushroom's not particularly hard.
Yeah.
Like I had a risotto the other day. Like I wasn't like this would kill me.
Could do. If it's a moonclan mushroom.
Moonclan risotto.
Turn you into a Gobblapalooza dude.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, and it's -1, and it does D3 damage. So, again, that combines nicely with the Moonface Mommet. And, yeah, D3 damage. So.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Asterix of Doom, thanks for subscribing, by the way, for 2 months. Woohoo! Also reminded me that Giselle's have got a 6-up save, not a 5-up save, so just learning on for that. Bogler says, most tournaments in Quebec are cancelled for the next few weeks. I just finished my army to play in one. They got cancelled. The one on the 20th is cancelled. Trying for April, but probably have to postpone until May or June, maybe even until September, Bogler. I think we're all going to have a tough-ish time playing some games, but we'll talk about that at the end. I think one of the things we'll talk about that at the end and what we could do.
Cool.
Currently, we're talking 1-drops.
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 So the other thing that you can take in this battalion is Sneaky Snufflers. So I think they're proper gold in the Gloomspite list at the moment. So 70 points for 12 wounds, because they're 2 wounds each. You get 6 models. Only got a 6-up save. So I think even if it's just for that, just a unit of 12 wounds for 70 points is great. But the buff that they give, admittedly, again, it's a bit of a schlep trying to get it, making sure you've got everybody within the 12 inches at the start of the movement phase. Stops that movement, you moving again.
Well, it's a nice other unit that's scoring, right? Like normally you could charge a unit, you'll kill that unit, but then there's another unit, and sometimes you don't have the option to kill both units.
Yeah.
Sometimes that six bodies has held you an objective and win you a game, I imagine.
Yeah, and the fact that they got 2 wounds each is pretty sweet. So, again, that combines nicely when the moon is shining on them, and they're immune to battle shock as well. So, all there by the Loon Shrine. They are actually grots as well, so that when the spore splatters are around, they buff them. So they've got 2 attack profiles as well. The Snuffle Squig and the
Crazy Horse. Thanks for donating 500 bits.
The grot's got his own sickle.
Lovely of you, Anthony. Carry on.
Yeah. So actually they multiply out really nicely with all the +1 attack buffs that you can get. So, and because they're grots as well. You can actually use the Loon Boss command ability on them as well. So towards the end of the game, when you've got your support units are now becoming your frontline units, and you snuffle and spore splatter that unit, and put the Loon Boss on, suddenly it's they start with 2 attacks.
2 attacks
they start with 2 attacks. They get +2 from the spore splatter, and if they snuffle themselves, they're on 6 attacks each.
Wow.
Hitting on 4s, potentially re-rolling 1s, wounding on 4s, but then the 6s will become
mortal wounds. So genuinely could just do a lot of mortal wounds.
So yeah, 6 attacks each from 6 dudes is 36 attacks. So
wow.
Yeah, you can surprise people at the end of the game. Suddenly this unit, which is just a support unit, can just kick out 3 or 4 mortal wounds and a few extra attacks, especially if you've got those other support units still kicking about, the spore splatters and the Loon Boss. Suddenly those 3 units all working together and fighting suddenly become quite a scary little combination. The Loon Boss is decent in a fight, especially as he'll have the spore splatters nearby, and then the spore splatters themselves and the snufflers. So they're not like proper frontline troops, but
at the end game when there's not much left.
At the end game when you're scrapping for and the monsters are wounded, and they don't want to be taken. They've got 3 or 4 wounds left. They don't want to
take 6 mortal wounds just from nowhere, right?
Yeah, suddenly you've got a good dice roll. And yeah.
So you're saying Snufflers are better than we give them credit for sometimes?
They're well worth the 70 points.
Okay.
And yeah, so.
Nathan, I've just found this Italian. Thank you to Nezil in the chat who's just sent us this Italian list that won an event on Duno Day. Thanks for donating 300 bits. He says this might cover the cost. I couldn't read it in time. It was something, and I'll read it again in a second. So the list that the Italian fellow won with was a Loon Boss General with a clammy hand. That was the trait.
Good.
Artifact was the clammy cowl. This guy was just clammy all over.
Yeah.
He was just the clammiest grot you've ever seen. There's a Madcap Shaman with the Moonface Mommet, just like you pointed out. And he had Hand of Gork. There was a Web Spinner Shaman on a Ragnarok Spider that's 200 with the Griffeather Charm, and it had Sneaky Distraction. So that's double -1, right, to hit. Yeah. Then he had 60 stabbers, like you said, 40 stabbers and 20 stabbers. Then he had 2 lots of Spore Splatter Fanatics, 1 lot of Maloon Smashers, a unit of Sneaky Snufflers, and then he had the Skulk Mob Horde and the Moon Clan Scrap. And then he also had Geminids, which I know you hate, but is also fantastic, and Scuttletide. So that's basically what we were talking about, that sort of
list,
right?
Very similar, yeah. So
very similar.
He's gone with, so it sounds like that'll be a 2-drop list because he's got the Arachnarok in there. But yeah, that's great. So the Clammy Hand, that's the one where you get 2 chances to bring the units back through the...
Yeah, on a 4+.
Yeah. So you can roll twice. So you can either bring back 2 units, or you got 2 chances to bring that unit back. So that's a really good command trait you can take. And then the Clammy Cowl is -1. He's naturally himself -1, so he's -2. If he's near some netters, he'll be -3. If he's within range of the Sneaky Distraction off the Arachnarok, there's a 12-inch -1 to hit bubble. So he could be like...
Geminids.
Slippery as anything.
Yeah, he's the most easy to hit thing ever. Dude Day said, this might cover the cost with his 300-bit donation, thank you, of a single sheet of loo roll if you can find one. Me and Nathan have already decided we're installing B-days in the office, which is going to be fun. I'm sat on one right now. It's great.
Yes, so and obviously my list had some endless spells for the extra flavour. So yes, Geminids. Obviously, that's a cracking spell. Everybody knows.
I mean, if you can already have -1. I mean, -1 to make your enemy -1 to hit is already good. Making a -2 to hit because you're doing Geminids plus something is just great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Then Scuttletide, which is
amazing.
Just
I hate that spell. Playing against it, like if you're playing Gitz or you want to, like, it's the most frustrating spell. You basically are always going to get it off. Like, well, not like cast it, like, but I mean, if you are able to cast it, it's just going to go somewhere in your backlines and just disrupt your gameplay so much.
It's really disruptive. You can use it defensively. You can use it to try and just start chipping away at opponents' heroes, support characters, or support units, that sort of stuff. It's a superb spell.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And then my favourite, which is the Quicksilver Swords.
Racist Swords. It is good.
This is a long distance poke, basically.
Yeah. In a army build that needs it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then the spells that I normally pick out of the lore will be Hand of Gork, obviously. That's a very important spell, so that goes on Scragrot because he's got +1 to cast.
And he's also the most likely to survive.
Yeah, and he's more survivable than the little Madcap. And then the Madcap has just got the D6 Mortal Wound poke with Great Green Spite. So he'll be close enough to one of the units of Grots to be able to power up that spell and get the D6 long range 24-inch D6 Mortal Wounds
Decent.
poke.
Yeah, really good.
So, yeah.
Okay, sweet. So, like, have you found, like, what's your experience been with the 1-drop? Like, I used to play Sylvaneth 1-drops way back in the day. It's been a long time since I've played a 1-drop, actually, and I think it's a bit of a trap building 1-drops, but I also, there's definitely an inherent strength in it, right? And I'm sure all the Sylvaneth players out there, all 5 of you now, would be like jealous and would desire to have it back. Obviously there's some constraints, but how have you found having the option of going first or like deploying that way, right?
So yes, so it's meant you're just deploying your army in that 1-drop, so which obviously lets your opponent know where your force is going to be, but that's not normally a problem because I normally deploy to my own plan and try not to react too much to what my opponent is doing.
Yeah, especially as so much of your army has to be wholly within X.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like constraints around the army, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I said, each unit of 40 will have its own little unit of spore splatters and its own loom boss and its own unit of sneaky snufflers. So basically, that part of the deployment is decided for you already. It's just whether you're thinking of Hand of Gawking one of those units away, then in which case you might have your support units in front so that they can run up and sort of chase that unit.
I love that concept. I love the idea that there are 40 grots. And there's a bunch of guys behind him like, right, we're going to support him. But then just a mad fucking wizard. Yeah? Just fucking throws them forward. And then the other grots are like, fuck!
Run!
I've got to chase that dickhead.
So yeah, you've just got to be aware of that. That sort of stuff. So sometimes the Hand of Gawk spell is not as useful as you think it is because you're disrupting your own buffs, basically.
Yeah.
But with the one drop thing, so a couple of times I've decided it's been great because I've been able to give my opponent first turn. So, for instance, I played Battle for the Pass against some Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Battle for the Pass means we're miles away from each other. I knew his catapult was out of range, so I was happy to give him first turn and waste a turn of that catapult doing anything.
Yeah.
And then...
Because that catapult can realistically just one-shot a unit of grots.
Yeah, or one-shot one of my heroes.
Or one-shot one of your heroes, but now he's just like, he's only got 4 chances to do so.
Yeah.
If he's, good.
So, yeah, that's proper good. Also, the Bone Reaper army is pretty slow, so it just means he's a good chance that he's not even going to get to those center objectives in Battle for the Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a chance of obviously teleporting, and grots are a lot faster. I can get to those objectives and start making a game of it.
I mean, that's the problem with the Bone Reapers, right? That you can't if you can mitigate that movement like quite nicely, but they've got the range, they've got the output. But okay, good.
So in that case, it was good. The other case where I did play against a one drop scenes list, I lost the roll off anyway, so having the one drop didn't really matter. But having the extra command points and the extra artifacts, those artifacts prove really quite useful. And if you had access to other artifacts, if you looked at the realm ones, you might find ones that are even better. So
I mean, those are good artifacts, especially because the artifacts they have seem to synergize so well with their own army, right? Like they're one of the armies that definitely have like good artifacts for their own army, which is good. El Capitan WS10 says no itchy nuisance, Nathan. How come?
Yeah, I think it's a good spell, obviously. So Itchy Nuisance is a spell that you cast on your opponent and make them always fights last. But it tends to be that I'm always picking my fights anyway. And obviously I haven't got the extra wizard. I think the D6 mortal wound threat is more important than the always fights last.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Because you're one of the few armies that can take that punch sometimes.
So yeah, if I can get the minuses cast, so get the gemmas up and stuff like that, then
it doesn't matter if you get hit.
I can normally take a hit, or else I'll have screened off with the shooters, and then I'm going to countercharge anyway.
Yeah.
So the shooters are sort of like the itchy nuisance. They're going to take that first hit. Then when I charge in, I'm fighting first. I'm going to pick first to fight. I think if Slanesh and stuff like that was more of a thing, then itchy nuisance would become more important.
But also because of the way the activation works, if you guys because obviously you do itchy nuisance in the hero phase, so that means that if you have an ability that goes first in the combat phase, let's say, that's going to override it. So it's one of the worst always strikes last mechanics in the game, because it applies in the hero phase, which means later abilities are going to apply before it. So, yeah, shitty situation. Asteroid TV over on YouTube says, all hail the Blot Toad, all hail, all day. All hail! All day. All right, Nath, well, I appreciate that. Would you advise Gitz players to try and aim for that one drop?
Well, I think when I first wrote the list, I was just messing about trying to see if one drops were a thing. And then when I actually played it, it was a better list than I thought of it, looking at it on paper. And if you look at that list that the Italian guy had, That was the other options. I was thinking, so your other options are to make it a 2-drop with the Arachnarok, or to make it more fighty. Instead of having Scragrot as the Loon Boss, you could have Loon Bosses on Mangler Squigs. So you could even have 1 or 2 of those.
So is it good? Is it good because it's a 1-drop, or is it just all the constituent parts being forced to work together because of the book are good?
Yeah, I think that those combinations of units turned out to be pretty good. So, but there are other ways. So my list is built about having some magic output, and so you've got mortal wound at range from the 2 wizards. And then you've also got mortal wound damage from your grots, and they're actually pretty fighty, and they've got Ren, so those 2 units of 40 grots do a lot of work. And then so you want to try and weaken the whole game down, and then your support pieces are actually pretty good in a fight as well.
Okay.
Whereas you could, looking at those battalions, you could, if you wanted to play a really fast fighty thing, you could try and squeeze 1 or 2 Mangler Loon Bosses, and then rather than having Spore Splatter, have Loon Smasher Fanatic combos inside of your units. Just reduce those units down to min size, and then you've just got loads of stuff that hits with Ren 2, Ren, and just concentrate on that aspect rather than on the more sort of rounded aspect that I think I've got.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes loads of sense. There's a lot of points tied up in that Italian version of the list, right? With 60 grots, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay, well, super interesting. Like I know that there are very few armies now that can drop those 1-drops, and again, it doesn't seem like. Because of the teleport, it does seem like you could take advantage. Which when we played with that, you had the option to just go, I'm going to go first and deep strike all these guys. So you have to. So already, just positionally, I have to build my army very differently.
Yeah.
Just because I know that you get the choice. So it's always a bit of a struggle. But that for me, it was more about I had to zone in the right way, so zone you off. But definitely could take some people by surprise, especially with the ability to go first, because you can just buff up a unit of grots, fucking fling them forward. There's nothing they can do about it. If you decide you want to go in hard early, if someone makes a mistake for turn 1, you're just going to get to decide on that mistake, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you've got the option turn 1. Obviously, like we said, the grots will be teleported away from a lot of their buffs, but they can go in with the extra attack. And if you can make it so that they're attacking into the front of your opponent, if he's left a mistake on the front, then you can potentially make your Loon Boss run up fast enough.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the Sneaky Snuffler buff. But then you have got the Loon Smasher Fanatics that can go in as well at the same time. So quite often it's quite good if they've had to split their army up, and you can drop your grots onto an objective or charge them into an objective with the Loon Smashers into something. They can go in and seriously weaken that portion of the army. So that forces your opponent then to swing around, go and deal with that. By the time they've dealt with that, hopefully you've gone up enough on points that now they have to start becoming really aggressive. Hopefully you've also managed to get the 40 grots back because of your Spalt Mob Horde back onto your own lines, and you can reorganize your lines. And as a defensive army, the Moonclan grots are one of the best at being able to absorb a hit and then counter. So
because the minus is to hit.
Yeah, and you've got the body, so you've got the shooter screen.
Yeah.
And then you can just that'll soak up a lot, and then you just it'll take that first hit, and then you've got all the buffs. Nice. Now you've got all the ranges because you're nice and compact, and then you just pump up all the buffs, curse somebody with a Mommet, and just go in and
get going.
Yeah, and you can do some serious work. Proper scary. Attacking an organized Moonclan line is proper.
It's hard, and it's also immune to battle shocks. It's near the Loon Shrine, so I try not to bother. I make it so that you have to come out of your defensive line. That's my strategy
Yeah,
normally.
if you can disrupt the Moon Clan lines, then their buffs start breaking down, and then you can start picking them apart.
And then they start squabbling amongst themselves.
Yeah,
All of it goes wrong.
yeah. It proper falls apart pretty quick.
Yeah, it does.
So.
It does. Much like society. All right, Nate. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. It's super interesting, especially food for thought for Gitz, which aren't doing very well at the game at the minute, like win percentage wise. I'm sure a whole bunch of Gitz players don't give a fuck about that, so that's fine.
I think if you're playing Gitz, probably not your most important consideration.
No, but it's also nice knowing that you think that like
there are competitive lists out there. I'm not sure if it's the most competitive way to go with Gitz, but I just thought it's got interesting points to talk about within Gitz.
Yeah.
And the fact that it turned out to be better on the table than I thought it would be looking at it on paper. So.
Which is always something.
Yeah.
Definitely. And especially, I really like the idea that you have that. Is also poses a problem for me as like a opponent, because you've got two identical bits. Yeah. Like you've got the 40 and the 40 with the identical buff pieces behind. Yeah. So even if I hit one, the other one's going to do the same job, and you can replace one, or you can replace both. So I'm just in this like, I don't know. Like it for me, it would pose an issue because I'm like, well, I got to deal. It'd probably be where one of those two units were based on the objectives, rather than like.
Yeah, you've got redundancy and. It's a similar problem.
So Speckles in the chat has played it. He says it's an awesome list to go against. Trog says it's just Trogs are where it's at. I don't think he's ever going to change his mind there. Will Priest Carl says, okay, I can't make the ears on Skink Nathan work. Think I should make it a Saurus or a Laserdon. I completely think you should make it either of those two. I think he's making all of us as skinks, which is I'm up for. Well, thanks, Nate. If you are out there and you're listening, you want to tweet us or Facebook us about your one-drop lists and where you think they're at. And also, if you're the Italian fella and you want to... I'm doing an interview with an Italian podcast this week. So I know there are some of our Italian listeners out there. So big love to you guys, and I hope you're all doing well at the moment. All right. So I've had an interesting week when it comes to writing lists, which I thought I'd want to talk about. So obviously this Dread Saurian came out, the War Scroll. And it talked about those impact hits. Now, I've obviously been banging on about the Phoenixes for a while, and I've also been banging on about Blood Crushers and Skull Crushers ever since, really, the Winter FAQ, where their points became what can only be described as ludicrous. So I started doing a rundown on the Skull Crushers and Blood Crushers today, and then just the winds of fate overtook me, and I really wanted to push this out. So I thought I'd have like a thought experiment with you, and we'd come back to this written out a little bit better next week, because it's really kind of snowballed beyond what I initially expected to do. So one of the things, I'll start you where I'm at. So the Dread Saurian, he does D6 mortal wounds to units when he charges, unless it's a monster, it's D3. Amazing, right? It's 510 points. So if I said to you in the charge phase, or if I just added onto his attack profile 3d6 mortal wounds, you'd be like, well, actually, that's a great attack profile. Now, obviously, if he's just charging one unit, it's not that. It's just 1d6, but, it's just written in a different place. So it's a decent amount of damage. Now, I know Ogre Maw Tribes have obviously got their impact hits. Stonehorns do additional impact hits. They're really quite scary. And I'm going to talk about some of the instances of those, but I just then started going, okay, and I've talked about... the fact that I've wanted to run these Blood Crushers for a while. And my reason is because they're attack output, right? So Blood Crushers, so Mighty Skull Crushers, which are better versions, but Blood Crushers are 120 points, for 3 Blood Crushers. They're 4 wounds each. That might be right. It might be 3 wounds each. But they've got a 4-up save, so if you took... And when they charge... They do, on a 2+, you take a mortal wound. If they've got 5 or more models, so if they've got 6 or more, basically, they do D3 mortal wounds. Now, I know you already know this, and I'm sure you guys... Crazy Horse says, didn't Gammy run them last weekend and go 2 and 3? He did. And I'm not saying that this is the way to win tournaments.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is it's an interesting thought experiment. Anyone can teleport a unit of shooters. I know. I've done it. You could also just... you could just get a Maw Crusher, give them a CP, move them 12, move them 12. I'm not trying to pick on the Maw Crusher. It's the easiest. No one else can fuck with you mechanic in the game, right? 24-inch move, charge, right? But this is just an interesting way of playing, because we saw when we were at Sheffield Slaughter, we saw Joe Purcell do, I think, something really interesting. And he had those unit of Pistoliers. Yeah. They would shoot, they would charge, and then they would shoot. So he basically got 2 turns of stuff. But what's interesting is he could clear things out in the shooting phase and then charge and do extra damage in the combat phase, which I liked. And I've just gone on this kind of snowball thing now. So for 240 points with the Blood Crushers, I can do D3 mortal wounds out of each one. So that from a unit of 6, that would be 6 D3 mortal wounds. On a 2+, so it would be 5 D3. So it would be 10 mortal wounds just in the charge phase. Now, the Blood Crushers aren't particularly good in combat. Fair enough. They're okay. And you can buff them. And then when I was reading the abilities that you can have in Khorne, I was like, okay, right, I want to give these guys run and charge. Yeah. And there's no run and charge unless you use mortals. Yeah. So you could do Mighty Skull Crushers. Now they are more expensive, but they've got a 3-up save, which is obviously dumb, because you can put that to a 2-up save in Khorne. And again, they're going to do mortal wounds. Now I know I've said all this on the podcast over the past few weeks. I'm not repeating myself. I am repeating myself, but I just wanted to. I started writing their rundowns, and I was like, okay, I want to do more stuff, because we talked about the Pterodons last week, right? And the Pterodons can do, if you move forward 12 Pterodons once per battle, what you can do is you can drop rocks, and if you've got the skink character behind them on the Pterodon Chief, on a 2+, they'll take those D3 mortal wounds, right? So you're going to do 10 times, because it's a 2+, so you'll do 10 times D3 mortal wounds. So you'll do 20 mortal wounds, right? And then you can shoot, you can charge. Pterodons are a great unit. It's a great build. But points-wise, you're getting more Blood Crushers, and you can keep doing those mortal wounds. So you can charge a screen, do mortal wounds, and then if you get to do another charge later on, you could do the same amount of mortal wounds. So I just kind of went down this thought process, and I was just like, I wonder what else you could do it with. Because I played you with your Boingrots, and the Boingrots are 100 points for 5, right? Yeah. And for every 1 Boingrot on a 4+, you take 1 mortal wound. Yeah. And on 6s, nothing. You don't take D3. No. So for 200 points, you can potentially do
5 mortal wounds.
5 mortal wounds. But for the same points in Blood Crushers, I'm going to do 12 mortal wounds, which is great. And I've also got more wounds. Boingrot's got 4-up save?
Yes.
Okay. I've got the same. So I was like, what can you do the most mortal wounds in the movement phase with? So you've got Pterodons that drop rocks. That's the movement phase. Phoenixes do 5 mortal wounds, and they can do that every turn. So a Phoenix could potentially do 25 mortal wounds over its life, or in a 5-turn game. Yeah. Interesting. You mentioned the Slave Starters list with Impact Hits slant on a recent show. It came 3rd in the Swedish tournament. Yes, it did, Ixtab. Well done. Good memory. So, yeah, we'll get to Chariots in a minute. Well, we could talk about one. The Harbinger, right? The Bladebringer, the Herald on Exalted Chariot for Slanesh. Do you know what this motherfucker does? It's amazing. Let me read it out to you. Now I know that there are chariot lists been run as well, but it's 220 points, right? And it's just fucking crazy. Oh no, I just had it up. Oops. Let me just go get it again. It's just madness, honestly.
So this is the hero on the chariot, on the big spiky chariot.
Yes, the Bladebringer, right? So he's 220 points. And he's got 10 wounds with a 4-up save, so he's not very tanky, right? But he's got the excess of blades. Roll the dice for each enemy unit that's within 1 inch of this model. After this model finishes a charge move, on a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 4, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. So this is a roll dice for each enemy unit. And on a 5+, D6 mortal wounds. So for 220 points, you could be doing multiple D6 mortal wounds, which I think is exciting. And then they've got Pungent Soulson. At the start of the combat phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch of this model. On a 2+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And you gain an extra 1 to the attack characteristics model's melee weapons at the end of the phase. Right? Which is just... So we compare them to the Boingrots. You get... Boingrots are 2 wounds each, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same. This is 20 points more. but it moves 10 inches and it's in Slanesh, so there's more ways. So if you're talking about just impact hits, this chariot is better than the Boingrots. It's got the same wounds, the same save characteristic, so and it's going to do way more mortal wound output when it hits. So that's really interesting. And there are other chariots that do it as well. You've got normal Chaos chariots, they do D3. You've got some other crappy chariots that do it on 4+. And you've got Gorbeast chariots, which are fine. You can put them in other battalions where they can do stuff as well. But if you're comparing the Pterodons, so this is where my brain's at now. I'm trying to work out like a cost-benefit analysis. You've got the Pterodons once per battle, 20 mortal wounds. Phoenix is 25 mortal wounds over a game if they move over units. You've got gyrocopters and gyrobombers that could drop their rocks once per battle. No, sorry, gyrocopters can do it once. Gyrobombs can do it every turn.
Yeah.
But
that's only in the movement phase.
But that's only in the movement phase. So my brain was now like, what's the best movement damage we can organise?
Yeah.
That's where I went. Yeah, and it's not finished yet because there's too many things to think through. And I don't really know how to quantify it right. So these are my do's and don'ts. And then what I was going to say is if everyone who's listening sends us your version of the list, the best list that I can either come up with or someone can send me, I'm going to talk about on next week's show.
Okay.
Because I think this is a fun challenge because it's got so many moving parts.
Yeah.
Because I really like the Blood Crushers and I really like the Skull Crushers because they're so cheap and they're going to do so many mortal wounds.
Yeah.
But they don't have run and charge in their army. And they don't have retreat and charge. So, because I want these guys to hit, a bit like the Kavalos Death Riders in Staliarch Lords, right? Same thing. They charge in, 10 of them. If you had 10, you would spend their Relentless Discipline point and do 1 mortal wound on every 5+, which is fine. So they might do like a bunch of mortal wounds. But, and then they can retreat and charge, so they can keep doing it all game. But they're just, I don't know. TTF Chris says, don't forget Lariel can do D3 on a 4+, a fucking steal for 600 points. Which is not a good one, obviously. Yeah. So I come up with some do's and don'ts. So I really want to run the Skull Crushers and I want to run the Blood Crushers, but I'm going to talk about mechanically as I start writing the list some of the things I want to happen. Because what I need to do is I need to make that unit hit, right?
Yeah.
But that means you can't charge me. Otherwise, all of that potential is wasted.
Yeah.
Okay. AOS Atonement Tim says, Blood Crushers can impact the hero phase for 3 Blood Tithe. Just have to make sure you wipe the screen, then move, then charge. That's really nice, AOS Atonement. I appreciate that. That's nice, because you've got the Blood Tithe points.
Yeah,
so you can charge in the hero phase. Can you charge in the hero phase? Or fight in the hero phase?
I think you
can
the charge, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to check on that. I mean, the Iron Jaws. So you've got the Iron Jaw. The Maw Crusher obviously does his impact hits, which is 8 dice on 5-ups. But if you make him a heavy one, it's on 4-ups. So it's only like 4 mortal wounds.
Oh, so you can charge and fight, Nath, with Khorne with the Blood Tithe points. Charge and fight. So that's great. Which adds even more value to this army.
Yeah.
Even more value. But yeah, okay. Sorry, carry on.
So it's only 4 mortal wounds. Do they still have the?
Oh, you could charge in any hero phase with the Blood Tithe points.
Oh,
fuck. Yes, okay, that's good.
Oh no, I think they've lost. They used to have an item where when they charged, they would do extra mortal wounds. No, that's gone.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Well, okay, so I've come up with some do's and don'ts, right? So if you're talking about just Khorne, you're talking about. I still think that the Skull Crushers and Blood Crushers are the best available options to do all of this damage. I know Stonehorns and I know Ogre Morg tribes can do a bunch of mortal wounds when they charge as well.
Yeah.
But I think, and maybe the Blade Bringers, the Chariots, the Slaneshi build is a way of doing it as well. But I kind of want to think about these guys for a bit. But if you've got other armies that you think you can do it with, I want to hear about it, right? So you got because the Dread Saurian can have charge on 3d6, yeah, run and charge, right,
Make it fly.
And make it fly.
Yeah.
So with the swords, but but it's 500 points to do that with the Dreadsaurian, and for the same amount of Skull Crushers, you would get 6 times. You would get 15. You would get 30 wounds with a 3-up save compared to the Dreadsaurian.
Yeah.
We did talk about Boingrots already.
The Maw Crusher one is actually it's a command trait. It's not an artifact. So you can have hulking muscle-bound brute. So when he charges on a 2-up, he does D3 mortal wounds.
Or with one attack. No, he just does one D3 mortal wounds, or is it every unit within an inch?
No, it's just one.
One unit.
One unit. So that's the rider. Then the Maw Crusher itself will do on 8 dice on 4-ups if you take the fat one.
Yeah.
So, but the thing with that is if you wipe out that unit, that you can then charge again.
Yeah, it works really well in Iron Jaws, right? Because you do the mortal wounds as impact hits, and you can keep going.
And then if that unit is wiped out, you can then charge into something else and try and wipe it out.
So you can do smash in bulk, right, in the charge phase with the D3 mortal wounds as well. So
an additional, D3, because it's obviously.
Is there a way to get? So that's the trait.
So that's his command trait.
Is there a way to do an artifact that does the same thing?
No.
Ah.
So you got the command trait. Then his, then obviously his Maw Crusher does it. But then if you take him in Iron Suns, you can charge in your opponent's combat phase as well and do that thing.
Right. Good.
Charge phase.
So that's a way to like double utilize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now that someone's pointed out and also massive shout out for doing that, for pointing out the Blood Tithe. I'm well into that, especially if you can do it in the opponent's hero phase.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's sexy. Okay. So other things you can do in Khorne before we get onto some do's and don'ts is the Bloodthirsty Incessant Rage means command ability can reroll charges for demons within 16 inches. So those Blood Crushers rerolling charges, great news, right? You also have got the Bloodstoker, but he can, if he's got a unit wholly within 8 inches, you can add 3 to run and charge. Now, unfortunately, there's no run and charge in the army. So you can add 3 inches to a unit's run and charge, but you can't run and charge with a unit inside of Khorne unless it's Bloodthirsters. Ben, I know you're listening. Bloodthirsters suck. So you are able to do some stuff to make them go faster. You could also ally in a wizard, and then you could do Geminids.
Yeah.
Right? Not Geminids. So sorry. Chronomantic Cogs. So you could add another +2 to a charge and +2 to move. So it does mean that Skull Crushers, if you wanted to, you could have it so that they're +5 to charge and then move in 10 inches, which isn't bad. It's not bad, but it's not rapid, right? Not when you compare it to, you could do Pterodons and you can make them go 19 inches.
Yeah, they're proper speedy.
So fast. Yeah. Good. Crazy Horse says the Dreadsaurian isn't for offense though. He says he's there to block off your opponent's army with his giant base and just stick around with all those wounds. And Grinaldi says no one expects a charging Saurian. Adam Trunzo in the chat. Big fan of Adam Trunzo over in the US. He's a great guy. Dreadsaurian is there for you to not take into your army. Wow. Okay, hot take. Adam, big love. So basically, I decided to. You can do a lot with Khorne.
Yeah.
And especially those two units. Those two units still feel like the right way to go.
Yeah.
For doing this kind of movement damage, but I think that there's so many options, so many armies. Like you said, I knew you were going to bring up Iron Jaws, so I left it off so you could tell me about it. So I've got some do's and don'ts. And I'd like you and me come back with our best movement-based damage list. Because that's the other thing as well. Like, so you and me talked about the match between the Hallowheart 4-drop, which is, you take all the characters and you take 3 units of battle line, so it's a 4-drop Hallowheart list. What they do is they do loads of spells in the magic phase, they teleport over 60 shooters, and they delete your army. It's incredibly uninteractive, but it's a really good list for winning games. Versus my current Tzeentch build, which has got 3 scouting units, which their job is to create a 6-inch gap, so I almost can never be alphaed. There are some situations where it can happen, but luck of a draw at a tournament, I'm hoping that effectively never is the answer. But the Hallowheart list, as you pointed out, or as me and Nathan talked it through, would beat it because they would, in the hero phase, they would clear my screen with magic, and then they would teleport with the bridge as the very last thing that they would do, and then drop something down. So it's quite rare that someone can definitely delete so much stuff in a hero phase, like that Hallowheart can do with all of its output. And maybe they still couldn't, depends. But then to drop over the Soul Screen Bridge anywhere on the board and drop the shooters down and then shoot my Tzeentch characters, which would be a really tough time for me. So then this is where I'm at, because what can we do in the movement phase, which our opponents aren't expecting? Like, if you can delete... have you ever hit the screen with your Maw Crusher, deleted it, and then been able to charge into the meat of an army?
So yeah, the Iron Jaws list that I was running was designed that would happen. That the screen... So if a screen of 10 dudes, a Maw Crusher should go straight through that. And then be able to charge into the meat of the army.
Into the meat of the army, yeah.
So, and then the double Maw Crusher list was designed so that one of them would delete the screen and then the other one would have a 6-inch pile-in as well. So, so hopefully you can, if the screen was bigger than the 10-man unit, but then you've got more chance of maybe even going for as many as 20. So it's a case of casting long range spell
damage
from the weird knob. So he would have a Bale Wind, cast the Wrath of Gork, whatever it is, the long range spell off of there, do some damage on the screen. Then the Maw Crushers would both move up into range, shout at the units, the screen units, do some more damage, then both bulk charge into them, and hopefully that will clear the screen, and then they can then bulk charge into the meat of the army.
Because it's honestly just so fucking tricksy, right? Like, I honestly think this is why I want to run a list like this, I think, because like we talked about Gammy this weekend, and I'm hopefully going to get him on the show because he's gorgeous and I'd love to hear from him. But he was talking about he took it to an event this weekend. I think he went to SAGT, so over in Australia, and he went 2 and 3, so he didn't do particularly well. But I wouldn't say, like, I'd like to hear his experiences on it, because it's a real interesting way of like breaking an army apart. I just want to say the Order doesn't have access to any sort of scouting units at the minute. Maybe we'll get some with the Lumineth Realm Lords. That's right, yeah. And
well, I think,
but you could always bring in mercenaries if you want to be that guy.
Chaos are the only ones that do have scouting units anyway.
No, Chaos, you can have some in a particular Bone Splitters. You can go D3.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Death have got the ability. There's a battalion you can take for the Bone Reapers who've got a scout move.
Okay.
We talked about that. You know, it's the unit of Archai and the unit of Stalkers in a real fun build. Yeah. Oh, it's the Australian Heats. Thanks, Coach. Big love to you in the chat. And then Crusade says, "See, I thought so, but I'm literally just starting out and trying to design an army." What's he saying? So talking about the Staliarch Lords, it's decent, honestly. It's quite hard to build bad Bone Reaper armies. You can have a good time with any of it. Just take a couple of catapults and just take some stuff you like and have a great time playing Warhammer if it's your first army. Okay, so I did some do's and don'ts then, right, for building a movement-based army, because I want to know. It's not until, like you said with your Grots list, it's not until you start playing with it that you can work out where the gaps are. Like you said, you hit something with the Crushing Bolt, you pile in 6 inches. Obviously inside Khorne, you've got the ability to pile in 6 inches as well. And I'm like, why do I want that? But maybe if I charge and then I pile in 6, maybe I really, really want that, right? If I crush something with the impact hits, which people weren't expecting. So, and I think getting to the characters is a bit of a joke, but
it's an important part of the game.
Of course it is. Yorbad has a scout move. Haywo in the chat as well. Oh my god, all sorts of legends. I'm very much looking forward to Haywo's new video that he's been working on for a while. Yorbad has a scout move, but it's just all Stonehorn, not really alpha stopping chaff exactly. Yeah, okay. So some do's and don'ts for our movement list that we haven't ever decided what it is yet, right? Movement, we want debuffs to movement. So there's some good places that we can do that. Or we want to manipulate people's movement. So for me, the easiest one is going to be Shackles, Soulsay Shackles. And the reason for that is I want you to not charge me. I want to charge you.
Okay.
Super important.
Yeah.
You can't hit me because I have to hit you because that's how I'm getting the most value out of my impact hits.
Yeah.
Okay, so shackles. Then you've got some stuff that fucks about with other people's movement, like anything that does that. So there's all the spell lore from Slaves to Darkness, obviously. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that halves movement. You've got the Khorne Demon Prince is a good example. He makes people only be able to charge on a D6, so he's fun. You've got Slaughter Priests. They can make units move forward or move away. You've got Devolve from a Bray Shaman.
Yeah.
Again, he can make a unit move towards you, which is good because you want to impact hit them. Great news. So anything that slows your opponent down, blocks your opponent up, or makes it so that you can hit them.
Yeah.
So movement.
You want to get the charges off.
You want to get the charges off. So Slaves Ruinbringer Warband with a Chaos Chariot damage on a 2+ an additional D3 mortal wounds. Cast Cogs and give Mark of Khorne with a couple of Bloodstoker allies. Run and charge the chariots as AOS Atonement. So that's his version of doing that, which you should send me. So if you guys write a list on the AOS Wargamer website, just write it on War Scroll Builder, paste it on the AOS Wargamer, send me the link, or just send it to the AOS Wargamer Twitter. Those are the ways I want to just get the lists. And I just want to see your best movement-y damage list. Like, there's got to be some good cities ones, like gyrocopters and gyrobombers. Anyway, so movement, you've got all the negatives. You also want bonuses to your movement. So when we're talking about the skink version of it, obviously +3 to charge when you're in one of the not coalesced, one of the Starborn temples. So +3 to move is obviously crazy. You could cast Cogs, so now you're going to add another +2 to move, so you're moving 21-inch skinks. That's pretty decent. So anything that you can do to move to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And then also being able to fly. Because if you can fly over a 10-man screen and do the impact hits to the unit behind it, hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, does Sail still make stuff fly? He used to. I don't think he does. I think he just teleports now.
Yeah, I think he teleports now.
Yeah.
So
So you also want retreat and charge or run and charge.
yeah.
But I actually think retreat and charge is more important.
Yeah, you don't want to be locked in.
No, I
So
want
you're
to
not-
every turn. I just want to be piling out, like running out. Retreating out. Let's get the words right.
Yeah.
Retreating out and impact hitting again. Retreat, impact hit. Which is why I'm so attracted to Skull Crushers, because they can survive a fight. Because 5 wounds with 3-up save or a 2-up save. But again, I don't think there's anything inside Khorne that allows me to
Retreat and charge.
and charge, unless I can do that with Blood Tithe. Unless. So fly, retreat and charge, run and charge is also a lovely bonus as well. But then the other thing I think that you want from this kind of design list is a screen or some good screens. So if we take Khorne as our example, Ungor Raiders, I think would be a good option to be able to run forward, because then they're on an objective, so your opponent has to hit them, which means I can counter charge.
Yeah.
And I can hit them.
Yeah. Or your Warcry dudes as well.
Yeah, or the Untamed Beasts.
Yeah.
Although I'm slowly, or even though they're 10 points more, I'm slowly leaning towards the Ungor Raiders. They also take up an ally slot. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. But the ability to just do random shooting is like, because the Untamed Beasts are fine for exactly what their job is for 70 points. But to be able to ping a couple of shots and maybe kill some fucking shaman somewhere in the world, I'll take that. Especially with some like Geminids and stuff. Hero phase, take it down to 1 wound and fucking ping it off and shoot in. So those are my screens to counter charge. So those are my like do's and don'ts for the list. Unit needs to be able to take a hit and retreat and charge. It does need to be able to take a hit and retreat and charge. Or like you hit, you get the next turn, retreat and charge them and hit again. It needs to be able to do that. You can't do that in Iron Jaws, can you?
What's that? Retreat and charge?
No. So it's like what's really nice about this kind of army, or trying to design this kind of army. All of the different factions have got a little element, but not all of the elements.
Yeah.
I think maybe Seraphon have got the best, but they don't do the most output. Maybe the Chariots potentially do the most output. I reckon the Skull Crushers do the most output, because, I mean, the Crushers are fucking cheap, man. It's 480 points for 12 of them.
Yeah.
And that's going to be 20 mortal wounds every charge phase. The problem is I reckon they're just going to get locked in combat.
Yeah.
And what do you do about that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
fuck. I think it's super interesting.
Then
And
there's mangler squig hoppers that do it in the movement phase. They kick people in the head as they bounce over them.
yes, they do, don't they? What is it on? Is it on a 5 up?
4 up.
A 4 up, 1 mortal wound.
Yeah.
And how many is in
They're
the unit?
90 for 5 though.
On a 4 up though.
Yeah.
So 90 for 5, so 180.
And they move 3d6 as well instead of 2d6.
So how many can you have in a unit?
Inches.
How many can you have in a unit?
You can have up to...
Because 20 mortal wounds is a lot.
Yeah.
And the reason it's so attractive is because we're talking about Bone Reapers with their crazy save. You talk about any arm, or Nighthaunt. Let's say there's anything with a decent save, right? You're just ignoring that fucking existing.
Pretty sure it's movement phase. So it would be great if it was any type of move.
Grinaldi says maybe KO with mass gun haulers, Nath.
Yeah. And one of them could take a spar torpedo, which does D6 mortal wounds.
On the charge?
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm really excited about this type of list. And if you guys are listening to the podcast or you're watching live now, I'd love to hear your suggestions and your thoughts. It's kind of it's my new shtick at the moment. Do I think it'll win tournaments? No. But do I think you could play a different game that people aren't expecting you to play? I think that you can. And that'll be fun, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you turn I like sometimes to give myself my own little mission when I'm at a tournament. Not that any of us will be at tournaments for a while, but I think that'll be a fun little adventure. Dexter1 says hoppers also do mortal wounds on retreat, if I remember correctly, Nath.
Yeah, so it's whenever they make a normal move. So unfortunately, that's not charge or parlins or stuff like that. But yeah, so yeah, any normal move is any move made in the movement phase. So it could be...
and that's 3d6 movement?
Yeah.
And you can add cogs to that?
Yeah. You could also use the command ability from the Loon Boss on the Giant Cave Squig, which gives them +3 to that move. And obviously they can run, so it'd be 4d6, +3, +5 if you had cogs. And the run could be a 6, because you normally have a fair few command points there. So it could be basically 11 plus 3d6.
Excuse me, TGI Mikey's just told me the best thing ever. Wait, so say that again. 11 plus 3d6?
Yeah.
Movement?
Yeah.
And how many can I have in a squad?
Oh
my god, I'm getting so excited by this because I'm well up for doing it with squigs. Because I love the idea of doing it with Boingrots as well. But they're quite expensive and you don't get anywhere near the output.
Yeah, well, I mean, these guys are only 10 points cheaper.
Oh, okay. Dexter1 says you could also re-roll the move on them in the battalion?
Yeah, if you take them and yeah.
So 3d6 plus 11, did you just say?
Yeah.
3d6 plus 11 and I can re-roll that
3d6.
Fuck. So it's 90 points for 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
and
180.
Where are they?
So 360. 360 is going to get me 20. So I'm going to do 10 mortal wounds every movement phase. And it's every movement phase.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Squig hoppers, you can have a maximum of 20.
Well, that's what I've done. 360. Yeah, 360 points. And they've got what save?
Squig hoppers have only got 6 up save.
With 1 wound, 2 wounds?
2 wounds.
All right, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, fuck yeah. They do melt in seconds though. But doing 10... See, but then that's 360 for 10 mortal wounds. Whereas out of the Blood Crushers, you would be doing 9... You'd be rolling 9 2-ups. And any D3s, any 2+s are going to do D3 mortal wounds. So you're going to do 7 or 8 D3 mortal wounds. So you're going to do 14 to 16 mortal wounds for the same price, and you've got a 4-up save and a lot more wounds. But I also like but the squig hoppers fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. TG Mikey is just saying in the chat, Murderloss 3 points, select a corn unit from your army. That unit can move as if it were the movement phase. If it is within 12 inches of an enemy model, it can either move as if it were the movement phase or charge as if it were the charge phase. Murderloss specifies a normal move, which includes the option to retreat and run. Wow. Okay, so that 3 points that you're getting for corn, where we talked about earlier, where you could charge, you could also retreat and then in your movement phase later charge.
No, you can't charge in the same turn that you've retreated. So
Yes.
even if you retreat...
Because you don't have retreat and charge.
Yeah. So even if you've retreated, even if it's not in the movement phase, it's still in the same turn, so you can't retreat and charge in the same turn.
Sad face. I mean, the charge is still good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially
you can charge and charge again.
Yeah, you could charge and charge again, which would be hilarious in a turn where you do charging the hero phase, charging the movement phase. Yeah. And in the Giant Battalion for Squigs, you can also pile in 6 under the moon.
Yeah, but yeah.
Interesting. Okay, all right. So
that one, yeah.
If you guys are listening out there and you want to send me a list or get involved in my mad capped ideas, because I want to hear about it, because the Squig one sounds fun too. Yeah, I love that. Like, because you'll be going, because it's just you're going to do more wounds to one unit.
Yeah, you pick a unit.
But you're going to be going 22 inches, like on average 3d6 plus 11. Yeah. That's decent. That's decent, and that you could just do that all over a character. You'd be like, fuck that particular character, right?
Pick one enemy unit,
Yeah. That's okay, TG Mikey. Thanks for looking it up. You can charge hero retreat run in movement, then pile in. You can charge in the hero phase, retreat and run in the movement, and then pile in.
Yes, you can do that way.
But
so
you won't be charging?
Yeah, you won't be charging. So if you've
think
still
Crushers need you to charge.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, guys, that you're listening at home. That it's not a half-formed thought, but it's not a well-formed thought, because it's actually pretty complicated to work out the things that we need and which army to even start with. I think the Khorne one's the right army to go with, but there's loads of options. Truth be told, because I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, if you could be doing, but the problem is then the Crushers are shit in combat, which is why they're going to get trapped and bogged in. I just want to build something that does that, like smash hit. I think that's really interesting and keeps going over turn, which is why maybe Staliart Lords, right? After a model, this unit makes a charge move, so not after you piled in, which is a shame.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so if you got any thoughts, let us know. Next week, me and Nathan come up with our best movement-based damage lists.
Okay. I'll try and have a think about that.
Come on, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Like, Datcom just in the chat, like, the game doesn't just have to be, let's win. Yeah? It can be like, let's win with style.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's
like, what happened? He just kept charging into me. I just fucking died. I don't even know, man.
Kept
like,
kicking me dudes in the head with the spring.
Fucking movement meta. It's just stressing me the fuck out. All right. So that's that bit. Okay, so last bit, we'll talk about the not to put everyone on a Debbie Downer, is talk about obviously everything that's going on. You know, it's a shitty time. Probably all the tournaments in the world are like gone. Like, just Haywo says, let's win with style is the best design restriction besides no less than 4 Stonehorns, of course.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Stonehorns are great at impact hits, aren't they? So
that's a great army to start along, right? I'm sure people are already doing it. Yeah, you can already do a bunch of good impact hits there. Metal Cruncher for some more mortal wounds as you're in combat. I think that's another good version. So all the events, there'll probably be no Warhammer events of any size until at least September globally. There might be some in Australia for the next few weeks, but depending on how much their index upticks, we probably will see them start to close down as well.
Yeah.
So that's sad, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all sad about that. We're social creatures because we play Warhammer, and we like, as much as people, for some reason, people think we're all cave dwellers. We're not. We're cave dwellers most of the time, and then we like to go out of a cave. We're all very much like Grots. Go out of a cave, go on a mad rampage, drink a bunch of beers, and then play some Warhammer and leave. So...
with all the gold.
With all of the gold. Yeah.
And a few dodgy mushrooms.
Yeah, we're kind of like Vikings mixed with Grots, I reckon. So now, obviously, I don't know that all events are cancelled. That's not my statement, but I think most will be. Yeah. So in that case, Nath, obviously we could all just work, fine. But what is it that we can do over the next 6 months? Because it probably will be closer to 6 months than it is 3 months. Now, that's obviously just my opinion, so it might not be. So whatever. What do you think? Do you have any, apart from hobby plans, like, because you had some events lined up, didn't you?
Yeah. So obviously I had tickets for the heats as well. We had Brishammer. So it doesn't look like Brishammer will be a viable option, unfortunately.
Which is fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because I was very excited seeing those guys.
Yeah. Miss out on the heats. Probably looks like we're going to miss out on Bobo. So yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't know about that yet. That hasn't been confirmed or unconfirmed.
It's still far enough away that things might drastically change if there's a sudden cure or something. But not looking that way. So.
So we've all got events lined up. We all had our hearts set on. I think the easiest answer is obviously that we've all got a huge pile of shame that we could get through. Now, painting for me, or building armies I've always liked, but painting has always been a bit of a tax for me to go play the games that I want to play. Not much of a tax, as obviously I don't paint them when I play you, Nath. So, like, before you make the joke.
I'm going to polish my Gobbapalooza. In my pants.
So I think that could be the thing that we work on, right? We could all just sort our piles of shame out.
Yeah.
That seems like a very comfortable and quick way of doing it. I think. What we're going to do on the show, obviously, is I'm going to do some daily shows, just so everyone who feels a bit like they need some people to talk to and hang out with, there'll be a big safe space and community for that as well. Do you think it's also time to take stock and start organising our events maybe in different ways, or or have a look at what we're all doing as like a group? Do you know what I mean? Like work on some things that are hobby related but not hobby, like start podcasts like Tristan has done, or get yourself exactly the right sort of dice box. You know what I mean?
Do that sort of stuff. I mean, you could probably be all right playing games with just your mates, like in your garage or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe do a narrative campaign. Maybe break open that Firestorm, whatever it was called, that campaign.
Yeah.
It
might finally be time
to do a map campaign or something like that.
Well, what I was going to say was it might finally be the time to do the Call to Glory section. Is that what it's called?
Call to Glory
in
each of the battle tomes.
In each of the battle tomes,
there's loads of battle plans in those battle tomes that I doubt. Well, I don't think some of us have played them. I know some people; those are the things that they play, and I've seen people have been asking questions about the Call to Glory stuff as well. I've seen like some people obviously get engaged and that sort of stuff. So yeah, spread your wings and have a look at some of those things, whatever they are. Path to Glory. Yeah.
Path to Glory, thank you. See, I didn't even know its fucking name. Datcom says not having events will make me paint slower. That makes sense. Everyone wants the Rob versus Nathan event. It will be brilliant. The 5-game tournament weekend. TTF Chris says he wants to build a great new hobby table, or he wants you to build it, Nathan, me to film it. Yeah. I would really enjoy that, like a carpenter's workshop. Today we'll be doing some dovetail joints. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Fucking smashed it. Yeah, and we'll be sticking stuff together with super glue.
Sure.
That'll do. Okay. And then Jim 1080 says, not true. For the sake of the economy, we should all buy a new army and paint it for the economy. Dovetail joints. Apparently that is a thing. I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could obviously be doing that, which I think is fun. Some of the things that obviously people pointed out is if you have a local gaming club, or we'll start with a couple of things. If you have a local gaming club, you've got a whole bunch of guys there who are guys and girls, who are at part of that gaming club, and they might not have the support structure at home that a lot of us maybe do or don't do. So it might be nice if you've got some free time or some spare time and you can't be asked to paint, is to be the social sec/organizer for your little gaming community, wherever that might be, from either a huge scale, like the Big Age of Sigmar groups that we've seen on Facebook, to just do small scale local WhatsApp or Facebook groups. Because some of those guys might really need, guys and girls, might really need just a space to talk because they're feeling quite trapped at home and alone, and getting out is a big deal for a lot of us.
Yeah.
You know, I've got acquaintances who have talked to me about not having any close friends, and they're like, well, you all seem to know a bunch of people. I'm like, well, I do a YouTube show, so that's like half of that, but like the other half is like I have a hobby that's incredibly social, but we're about to lose that social side of it. But that doesn't mean that we can't all talk to each other. And I think some people should take some responsibility in their local communities for making sure that everyone's okay. Like, you know, and I can't do it for everyone in the world, so people should step up and be those people, right? That makes sense. Does that make sense? I know you don't want anyone to message you, Nathan. So if you could all tweet Nathan at Nath Prescott on Twitter, please do.
I'll be deleting Twitter for the next few months.
Banana Timmy says it could be a nuclear apocalypse with me locked in a bunker for 6 years on my own, and I still wouldn't do Path to Glory. So someone should do that. So that's one part. That's your local gaming communities, which sometimes are focused around your local gaming store. And the guy that runs your gaming store, now this is rude, so if I'm wrong, just call me a twat, and that's fine. I don't mind. The guy at your local gaming store might be shit at social media. He might be an old boy that doesn't really know much about being very social, using social media, although there's actually demographics charts that say that they're actually really, they love social media and fucking. That's what old people love. Yeah, but we'll ignore that. So there's one thing that we can all do is be the social glue of our community and connect everyone, which I think is great. I think the other thing that we could do is support our local gaming stores, because they're probably going to have a really tough financial time as well. So obviously you've got gamesworkshop.com where you can order your models, but there might be a local gaming store down the road where they've got 25% off anyway, or 10% off, and you might be able to order it from your local little gaming store. And because you want to go play games there, you should probably buy your models there and help support them. Like, I was at that Black Dragon Miniatures the other day in Nuneaton. Seemed like a wicked little store. The guys were super friendly. I'm going to see if they've got a way for me to purchase online. And if they have, I'll buy the Realm Shaper engine from Seraphon from there or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to give Games Workshop extra money for no reason. You can give it to some fucking dude who's going to have no one come in his shop, which I think is...
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I don't know. You got any other suggestions? You got any other thoughts? Those are some of my thoughts today. Obviously, I'm just reacting to what's happened today, so
Yeah.
I put as much down as I could, and then, yeah.
I guess you can start tasting all the different types of brews, getting ready for the next time that you engage in mortal combat with your enemies.
Nice.
Make sure you've got the right beverages lined up.
Could I suggest that someone who's a better drinker than me, as a non-drinker, someone has... Do you know what, I don't know the name of it. So there's people who suggest wines that go with your meal. They're called... I did know the name because I saw it in Parks. No. I can't remember what they are.
Cultured people. Cultured?
Yes. Sommelier or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, if someone would like to come up with the pairing chart of the best beer or drink...
To go with which flavour of army?
To which army you're playing against. I'm like, I see I'm playing Bone Reapers. I'd like a small white
bottle
wine.
of cyanide.
A sommelier or something. I don't know. Thank you, everyone in the chat who knows way better than I do. See, what I'm saying is we have an incredibly creative hobby. So use that time to create some really fucking weird shit. One of my favourite people ever is Kamarov, who Bone Splitter player, yeah, travels the mortal realms. He's written himself a list of all the monsters in the game, and his Bone Splitter army has to kill all of them, and he ticks them off. Make yourself some fucking weird shit like that, yeah? Just go fucking get into it. Like, someone in the chat was saying that I'm a bit weird because I like all this movement damagey stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just get creepy. Get like, get fucking, hashtag get creepy. John McGrath says that's easy. Carlton Draft goes with any matchup. I think, is that a tinny? Is that a stubby that you get over in...
Down under.
Yeah, Toowoomba? Bone Reapers goes with absinthe. The Green Fairy for some Sylvaneth. Marshmallow Port. So someone just has to make a pairing guide. What I'm saying is get creepy and weird. Yeah? Who knows what weird things you can come up with, but have fun, share it online. If you come up with a creepy weird thing, yeah, or a creepy interesting thing, just tweet me and I'll fucking reshare it for the world. Yeah, because... Oh, and I'll mention it on the show next week because I think everyone's going to get super bored super quick, so we might as well make it
design your new outfit and learn some tailoring skills and tailor yourself a
perfect
new outfit.
Yeah. What about
Make yourself
naming,
a suit of armor.
name every one of the models in your army.
Go through, give them each a name and a backstory.
And a backstory. Yeah, get real fucking intricate with it. The whole thing.
I think that's Path to Glory, isn't it?
No, it's better than Path to Glory. Path
That's
to Glory is
what Path to
fucking
Glory
awful.
is.
No, it's not.
Are you
Like-
going and naming each model?
No, you need to get like real fucking dynamic on it.
Skirmish. That's where it is. That's where you learn to name your models.
hate you, Nathan.
Skirmish. That's it. Play skirmish with each of your models, and they will develop their own character and
yourself.
grow their own names. Well, you find somebody to play with.
You're not allowed to touch anyone. That's the point.
Play against yourself then. It's fine.
Yeah,
that's where what's his name was discovered.
Who? God, you made a terrible.
Pompeii.
Who? Pompeii.
Yeah,
What?
that little grot, Pompeii.
Which grot?
One of my grots is called Pompeii.
He's called Pompeii.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Because of
Because of the skirmish battles that me and Jonathan had.
Oh,
He
yeah,
had one of those rune masters that kept on summoning volcanoes and killing
That
him.
wasn't a skirmish game. That was a match play game.
No, it was a skirmish game.
Was it?
Yeah, we played a whole skirmish campaign. in
How
a
was
day.
it?
Killed Pompeii every game with that volcano.
What Pompeii is? Is he a grot?
Yeah, one of the
What
grots,
grot?
just one little
Did you
grot.
paint him special?
Yeah, no, you just painted him burnt now.
How do you know where he is? Because he's the burnt one.
He's in my box.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Rybris says, I thought I had a thought earlier. Finally, have a use for the Sylvaneth battle tome. If you happen to run out of toilet paper, that's good. And then plays each bring tequila shots. Spare some salt for your opponent with the table it with flavour. Brent Twitch was broke as fucking skirmish apparently, Nath. Who knew?
Okay.
Who knew? Thanks, TT Chris. Love you tons. All right. So be careful. Like, help out if you're someone who's really like socially able and competent. Help out your local gamers. Yeah, be the glue. Just like WS, like fucking Nick is for the WS10 guys, or like any like the Scribes guys. Start a fucking gaming club. Get yourself some like stupid mascot that's an animal. This says the Honest Wargamer. A gaming club coming soon. Nathan, we need to decide our mascot for the Honest Wargamer. That is obviously there's the Roblin for the Grot Gang, but for the Honest Wargamer Gaming Club, what's our mascot going to be? Because obviously there's the fucking Buckingham Heron or Swan. I think it's a swan actually. So fucking apologise. What do we have? Because I want it to be the wombat.
Oh dear.
I fucking love wombats.
I thought it was going to be the dog's bumhole.
Done. Yeah, that's how we will win under the power of a dog's bumhole.
Through the power of a dog's
Through the power of a dog's bumhole. It was already decided. I wanted to order some the Roblin dice. I don't know when any of the merch guys hate me. I'll let you know another time. I'll get James on to do a merch show. Balloon knots. All right, okay. So be conscious of your groups. Help people out. Support your local gaming store in any way that might be possible, while also being prudent. Come up with some weird, kooky shit. Join me every day, midday in the UK as a group. If you've got any suggestions for shows that you want to see over that time period, because I might just start a ticker counter. I'll be like, days in the bunker.
skirmish.
No, I do get the ability to say no. But I might just try to do every single day, midday, until the lockdown is complete. So I don't know when that'll be. But
And then have a game of skirmish.
do you know what? If I make it 60 days, like if it has to be 60 days we're in lockdown, I'll play a game of skirmish with you day 61.
Okay. Cool.
Okay?
No,
That means you have to be free, whatever the fucking day that is, 60 days from now. So I'm in.
Yeah.
What time do you normally start streaming? So it'll be 12 o'clock, midday, UK time, every day. And then Papa Boogum Drop says, lol, I played in my local 24-person event early this month, and there was a slot in the BCP app for War Game Club. I just put Rabid Wombat Gaming. It's a fucking great yes! Like the flying rabbit wombats. Yeah? You could have such a good... Get someone, go on Fiverr or get Scrivo to commission you like a fucking flying wombat. You'll be having a great time. 12 o'clock, which time zone is that again? GMT?
Yeah.
Don't we have another name that we say sometimes? UK time zone.
Yeah. Just
12 p.m. UK midday. 12 p.m. UK time zone. 12 p.m. 12 a.m.
Greenwich Mean Time.
Greenwich Mean Time. Yeah. Midday. Yeah. That's the one. Or Trolls in the Pantry. What does that mean? Fuck knows. Anyway, tied for third place, fourth on points. So the Wombat mojo is clearly real. Wombats. I'd claim that before anyone else claims it. The flying wombats. All right. So we're going to go now. But if you've been listening, Nathan, thanks for being on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
If you have been listening live, thanks for joining us. There's been loads of you. It's been awesome.com, Wargaming Dad, Asterix of Doom, Jimmy 1080, Heywo. What drink does Chef recommend to pair with painting a moor pot? Hot cocoa, Baileys, whiskey, Kahlua, cinnamon spice, vodka, candy cane, and a mini spear with candied bacon comes with a free heart monitor.
Bloody hell. All together.
Fuck. That's a nice one. I like that. Nathan, thanks for being on the show. Thank you to everyone who's joined us live. If you are the people like Mark did earlier and you joined our Patreon, I deeply appreciate you joining those Wargamer Patreon because it's now my only job because they've and I know that's true for everyone. I know everyone's going to be having a shitty time, but with the clubs, I've always used DJing to supplement my streaming, but now I'm shit out of luck. I think everyone in the world will be shit out of luck. So I imagine everyone is going to be having a hard time. So don't stress too much about it. But I'd appreciate it if you do. And I already appreciate the people on Patreon who make it so that I'm going to live for a couple of months. So thank you. Yeah. And if you listen to the podcast, stay hydrated, wash your hands, stay safe.
Stop touching your face.
Stop touching. Have you been around anyone today?
Not really. I've not touched anybody else's face.
Because you're a contractor as well, right? Like, if they... we'll talk about it later. It's boring and not boring, but it's sad. So we'll talk about it later. Anyway, loads of love. Look after yourselves. Just stay hydrated. Stay healthy. Honest Wargamer.